Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for another Chelsea talk show for you guys on here. I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys having a good week, staying safe, enjoying life. We're here to talk about a little bit like what we did 2 days ago when we spoke about midfield options. We're now going to do for the strikers. We're going to talk about the striker options going into the summer that are available for Chelsea. I'm also going to ask you guys in the chat about the potential options, if there is any more options that we can look into. We're going to do just talk on an overall basis who we feel is best suited. We've got obviously the lineup as well, which we're going to go through, and we're going to include these individuals in and talk about how it looks, how we utilize them, how we can use them, etc., etc. So it's going to be a fun show. It's definitely going to be a fun show. So guys, do me a favor, make sure you're smashing the likes as always, subscribing both to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for this one. And before we move forward, as always, let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV for this afternoon Chelsea show for you. We may not be playing for the next week or two, but that does not stop us from obviously bringing out streams for you guys and trying to keep you guys, entertained until football kicks off again, which then we'll sit and discuss. Today's show is around striker options for Chelsea in the summer. We're going to be breaking down some of the best strikers in the world at the moment. We're also going to ask, like I said, we're also going to speak to the people in the chat about other options. If there is any other options, we'll be delving into that as well. It's going to be a good show. But in 2 seconds, do me a favor, 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to disappear because I've got to come back in. My StreamYard's bugging at the moment. So stay here for 2 seconds. I will be back. And like that, I am back. Big up every single one of you guys that are currently here at the moment. Sorry, it's still bugging now. I don't know. I honestly don't know what StreamYard are doing these days. It's an absolute joke. It's becoming quite annoying, to be honest, as well. Basically, I can't see the Chelsea Fan TV viewings. I can only just see myself. I know that it's going on because I can see that there's people in there. But big up to you. I can see the chat, which is fine. So we'll just have to move ahead with this. But yeah, smash the likes, guys. Let's go through and say hello to everyone in the chat. Big up to Leo. Big up to Ben, who speaks about Rafael Leao being one of the options as a number 9 in the summer. Apparently, Simon Phillips has spoke about this, is what he said here. Big up to Yeep as well. Ardy says, big up Jim Potter in since day one. Who you are, Ardy? You have been Potter in since day one? I can't even remember if you was, but if you are, big up to you, mate. That's fine. Big up to OG says, what's Potter in? Big up to you, Louis. Big up to you says, big up Jim Potter out. Potter in, Potter out. Shake it all about. We do the okie dokie and we turn around, is what it feels like. Adele, big up to you as well, man. Nice to see you in the house. Sean, nice to see you. Vic says, Lord Jem, big up to you, bro. I hope you're well. Samuel's in the building as well. Says, for heaven's sake, Chelsea's buying everyone. Why can't we just improve our players just like other clubs do? Buy players isn't the solution. Well, you have to buy quality, my bro. You can't just have players in the squad that are just not proving themselves. All right. You have to get rid of the players that are being given opportunities that ain't able to hit the heights. Like, it's got to be done. Big up to Samira. Do we need a new goalkeeper? I think we need a number 1. Yes. I don't think Kepa's a number 1 at the moment. He's a good enough number 2. And with Mendy, we've seen the qualities of him, but he just can't seem to find it again. So, we need a number 1 goalie. We do. We need to find someone that's going to be strong in all counts if we can. Big up to DK as well. Big up to Mr. Diamond as well. That Everton game was a disgrace. It was a stinky game. I'm not going to lie. Big up to Jamie as well. Kane as well says Leao is a winger, not a 9. I agree. HM's Potter in apparently. Big up to him. Bryson says Osimhen, which we're going to say. I always get Osimhen. I can never say his name right. Osimhen. Victor Osimhen. yeah, anyway, big up to you, bro. Big up to Mopey as well, and big up to Kane again as well. Get the Deadwood out is what he's saying as well. But like I said to you guys, in the meantime, smash the likes. Only 30 people on GNA TV, 50 people on Chelsea Fan TV. Lots to get into, lots to discuss. And we will be talking about them striker options very, very, very shortly. We've got the panel coming in as always as well to spice things up and give their opinions as well. But obviously, I want to start off by saying something which is, which we might have people that are, that are praying and are at this. So big up to everyone. Happy Ramadan to everyone out there at the moment, because I know Ramadan has started for many Muslims. So happy Ramadan and be safe, be healthy, and yeah, big up to you guys as well. We moved from that to the result yesterday, which was the result of the ladies' game in the Champions League. Chelsea lead 1-0. Big up to the ladies as always, just smashing records, trying to, taking things to the next level as always. So big up to the ladies. They take a 1-0 win home as well. We will be doing a lot more ladies show on GNA. We do a lot of lady watch along shows already. So Chelsea Fan TV people, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, the channel is GNA TV. I'll put the link in the chat. Go and subscribe to it, because it's not only this that we do. We also have Charlotte, who is great at doing the watch alongs as well for these games as well. So yeah, go and check out the link and just drop a little subscribe button if you can as well. And Lee Bell, big up to you. He says Lukaku plus cash for Osimhen is what he's got there as well. Yeah. Yeah. Why not, bro? Why not? I'm never going to say no to anything that relates to Lukaku, but we are going to talk Lukaku, because seems like Inter Milan don't want him. Seems like Inter Milan don't want him, which means he will return. But it's what are we going to do with him? What are we going to do with him? Like, every time I upload or refresh Twitter, Enzo Fernandez pops up as averaging the most passes in the final third per game than any player in this season. It's just mad. He's just crazy. What a player he is. Big up to Devin as well. They do, mate. They do. Emma Hayes is a great manager. Absolute great manager. Big up to her. I don't know what is going on here. Just doing my head in. Right. Oh, I think it might have sorted itself out. Yes, it sorted itself out finally. I want to go on to the comments yesterday that kind of caused a bit of a spark on Chelsea social media in regards to the Ray Wilkins situation. I don't know if you saw it, but basically Chelsea are doing Ted Lasso's doing a film, and obviously they're playing Chelsea, and they amended the name of the banner at Chelsea at the bridge. Not physically amended it, but obviously I'm assuming computerized amended it from Ray to Roy. Obviously Roy to apply to the character, the fictional character on Ted Lasso's film or show on Apple. And it caused a bit of an uproar. Some Chelsea fans were very disappointed and targeted the new owners straight away. Others didn't really pay, not say much attention, but didn't really think it was that bad, as it was just only a film, and it was probably like a 3-second clip of the banner in the film. But obviously someone's noticed it. Obviously the Ray changed to Roy, and as you can imagine, it caused a bit of a feud online. Now, a lot of people felt it was disrespectful. A lot of people felt it was not nice to someone that was deemed as an important figure at Chelsea Football Club. And it wound up some of the bigger accounts as well, which then got put on social media. Which then got put on social media. And there was a bit of a dispute again between Chelsea fans about the situation. Now, people were asking for Todd Boehly to come out and have his say, and most of us probably thought it weren't going to happen. But Ray Wilkins' son did address the situation, and he came out and basically highlighted this, and this is what he goes on to say. Ray Wilkins' son Ross, he goes, all this is TV, and certainly nothing to do with the new regime. From our perspective, the only thing that matters is the actual banner in the stadium where Dad gave so much for the club. Thanks for all the support and Todd Boehly for his response. Now, people will say, well, did Todd Boehly actually respond? He did. Todd Boehly came out himself and he himself cleared it up by commenting and saying this. So Todd Boehly brought a comment out based on a response from Neil Barnett. Now, Neil Barnett, what is the spokesman at Chelsea? And he's basically how it started is that Neil Barnett said, if changing Ray to Roy on a supporters paid for banner commentary a late legend in the way Egbali and Boehly believe is an example of how Europeans have failed to maximise football income, they're in for a rough ride. Nothing is going well yet. Nothing is going well yet. Time to keep their heads down. That's what Neil Barnett said there. So he's kind of just called it out a little bit. Todd Boehly decided to take to Twitter and respond to this to just make it clear in terms of their involvement in this. And he just came out and said that we had nothing to do with these arrangements. The deal with Apple was struck in 22. I'm assuming first quarter. That goes on to say the first quarter of 22. So they weren't even in charge. They weren't even owners at the point. We are sorry it affected so many, and mostly we care about Ray and his family. We would also point out that none of the Chelsea players were actual Chelsea players. Hopefully that was clear. So from the Boehly perspective, it kind of makes sense why he's come out and done that, because there was a lot of heating around it. And I think answers had to be made just because of the feud. Not for all, but on some, And, he comes out, fair enough, clears it up, says it wasn't his involvement. It was something that was agreed with the old regime. And then obviously that's when you had Ross Wilkins, Ray Wilkins' son, come out and pretty much thank Todd Boehly for his response and clearing it up. And that's the word, right? Clearing it up, because we don't want it's just another reason for us to sit and talk and moan about the owners, about them doing this and trying to make revenue and not caring about the club, the DNA of the club, this, that, and the other. I don't think, and I didn't think that was the aim in the first place, but I do feel at the same time about. Now, look, I was when I first saw it, I'll be honest with you, I did feel it was slightly disrespectful, but at the same time, it wasn't like, let's go online and just feud about it. I can see why people would have got wound up about it. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's what do you say? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the fact that they've come out and cleared it up, which they have done, and they've made themselves quite clear on it, then it is what it is. And I think as a fan base, rather than always worrying about the negatives and trying to find things to moan about when it comes to these owners, put it under the rug and move forward. We've got a lot more things to worry about, at the end of the day. And I didn't think that they would have allowed that, to be honest, anyway. But at least it's been cleared up as well. Let's see what people say in the chat. Keishon says Kolo Muani is a better fit. Kolo Muani is a better fit, is what he's saying. Big up to Ashraf in the house as well. Guys, nearly 150 of you here. We are going into talking about the striker options at Chelsea. We've got a panel to join us soon as well. Please smash the likes, though, because I know we haven't got enough at the moment. If you could do that, I'd hugely appreciate it. Kyle says Neil's comment is a bit too arspoke, as if he knew it was Bald's idea. I do think, again, it just goes with the whole how some of them felt at the time when they saw it. And I think people just spoke, rather than think about it and understand it and maybe wait for a response. But just be serious. He didn't really have to respond on anyway, So, yeah, we're going to talk about strikers. We're going to get into strikers. If the yellow bus wants to join, I've just sent him the link. We're going to talk about strikers because that's what we're all here to do. Everyone's so hyperactive. It's bad. I know we're always trying to find something to know about. Ivan Toney is one of the guys on there. I've picked out 3. I did have 4. I did have 4 strikers to discuss with you guys, but I thought, you know what? I'll put 3 in, and then I'll, if there's any more, we'll discuss it together, sort of thing. Chopper Harris, big up to you. He says that's the bottom line is how Ray's family feel about it. Ray's son's statement, it should be the end of it. There you go. Chopper Harris, big up to you. I agree, bro. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you for for sharing that comment. Pies should stop with his anti-Bowley agenda. Pies don't hate Bowley. Pies comments in what he sees, and Pies, when it comes to what he sees, can be quite emotional in his like in how he explains things. So he will just, he'll act on how he feels at the time, is what I'm saying. And that's not a bad thing. He just judges it on how he sees it. And that, and that's what most of us fans do anyway. When we're winning, we're all happy. When we're losing, we're moaning about who should be sacked, who should we get rid of. It's always going to be like that. You can't always be one way, right? So big up to you guys. Ivan Toney should such a mid-signing is what God of Frog's got to say. Interesting. This is why it's intriguing and why I wanted to do this, because it's quite interesting to hear your thoughts on this. Now, I know all of you guys are not going to like the first choice that I have had to put in this, but I have to put him in it because Inter Milan don't want him. We've been told that Chelsea may even cut ties and they don't want him. So where does it leave us with him now? Do we just rip the contract up and throw it in the bin and just get rid of him to anyone? Or will Graham Potter look at this, and Bowley, so both of them are going to have to agree on this, look at this as an opportunity to allow Lukaku one more chance back at Chelsea? And I know we don't all want to see it, and you know how I feel about him. If you have known me long enough, you've known how long I've not wanted this guy. Even when we first got him, I said, do not get Lukaku. And the old regime's last signing was Romelu Lukaku for £100 million, which in favour, when you think of it like this, Todd Bowley, he could maybe look at it as, well, yeah, I'm going to end up paying his wages, but I didn't buy him. Am I going to lose money? No. We were cleared of the debt of Roman anyway. He cleared the debt because he loved his club. He's just the trash at the door. Maybe I could just ditch him and just move on. If anyone wants to take him, take him. We don't ask for much. Look, he's not playing well at Inter. He's been injured most of the season. He's struggling with his weight again. All right. He's not nowhere near the player that Conte had at Inter Milan. He's just not finding that form. What are we going to do with Romelu Lukaku at Chelsea? Sam says Lukaku would cook in the reserves. Yeah. Get rid of him. Like everyone in the chat say Lukaku getting maybe yeah, but Fabrizio said no plans. Yes, and that's where I'm going to go to next, because obviously where we're talking about Lukaku, there was also this comment from Fabrizio Romano on Lukaku, which is right here. And he goes on to say that Chelsea are not planning with Lukaku. Well, do you blame us? What a burden he has become. And I hope that in the summer, even though he will be returning, because even Inter Milan don't want him because he's just not at the form that he's at, that we manage to just scap him off to somewhere else. I don't even care if he went Championship football. I wouldn't even care. Go back, even if he went to Belgium and played Belgian football again. I don't know. Like, it wouldn't bother me wherever he goes. Sell him. If we can make 10 million out of him, make 10 million out of him, 15 million out of him. I don't care. Just do not allow him to be a part of this team. If he then becomes an option, if he's a part of this team, if we bring him back in, we're not signing a striker. That's what I'm going to say. If we allow Lukaku back in this team, we are not signing a striker. I am telling you now. Big up to Bobby in the house as well. Everyone's slowly coming in. Nearly 200 people in the chat. Lewis is slowly coming in as well. He says Lukaku would cook with the right ingredients, only in the kitchen though. You are on the borderline because you backed this guy. You backed this guy, even when he was shit. All right? Do not come in here and start saying Lukaku will cook with the right ingredients. But because you ended it with only in the kitchen, I know you're only joking. But do not ever get any thought, any process of thought or thinking that Romelu Lukaku in Chelsea is a good idea. Do not do it, Lewis. Do not do it. Lukaku in the Championship, come on, Jem. Yeah? You think I'm joking? I would not care. I do not like... People have known me long enough. I do not like Lukaku. I've never wanted him at Chelsea. Yeah, and the reason I didn't want him was just purely because profile. I knew he wasn't good enough. I knew he wasn't the right player. You know, it's just not it. It's not it. Big up to Steve in the house as well. Hey, only because it was him or Havertz up front. I'll take Havertz all day over Lukaku. All day. All day of the year. I'll take Havertz. I mean, I don't even like Havertz up front. But what I saw of that guy up front last year, mate. I mean, I know Havertz he's not even a striker himself, but at least you can utilise Havertz like we are now and play him a bit deeper and get something out of him where he's actually doing it all right now. Because shock. Do you remember when I was telling you guys when he was playing as a number 9, if you drop him a little bit deeper and you give him a bit of a freedom role, you might actually see a better Havertz. Again, proving me right. You know what I'm saying? Because we're seeing better performances from him. I knew it. I knew that this is the case. And it's not even because I love Havertz. It's just because I know that he's not a 9 and I know that we're not playing him correctly. So what's the point? You know, we're going to moan about him not scoring goals when he's not an out-and-out striker like this guy. This guy's meant to be an out-and-out striker. This guy is meant to bury chances. I see this guy flop a 6-yard header coming on from a substitutional bench to head it over the bar from 6 yards out against Real Madrid. And if he would have scored that, we would have been at least 3-2. It'd have been a 3-2 score. So the fact that people would rather, and I'm not talking about everyone, but the fact that people would say that Lukaku over Havertz is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just can't accept it. I'm sure Dan can't accept it. I'm pretty sure he wasn't a Lukaku lover. Dan, do not tell me you was a Lukaku lover.
Before he signed, yeah, I was. I have to be honest. Before he signed for Chelsea, I wanted Lukaku. But I don't like people like to stick to certain opinions because they hate being wrong. I don't give a shit about being wrong. I don't get paid to make football decisions, so I don't have to back him when he's being a dickhead.
Not as a number 10 winner. Sorry, I'm just going back to what you said. 2 forms out of 10. Yeah, you're right. But out of the 18 that he played, he's played in a position that we kept moaning about every week. He wasn't effective in because we was asking him to lead the line and do things that he can't do.
Man, you guys in Havertz every day. But listen, back to Lukaku, right?
Yeah, go.
Lukaku, when I realized his main problem for us has been his fucking attitude, right? Horrible attitude. When you come in and 2 months later, you're talking to Inter Milan about wanting to go back. You're not even willing to fight for your place. Like some players just want to start. You don't only not want to start, you want to start and play a certain way. You didn't even give it a chance whatsoever. You gave it 2 months and that was it, right? Yeah. Do I think Lukaku can give us 18, 20 goals in this league in the right system? Yes, he can. He's not a terrible striker. He's just, to me, a terrible person because you don't do that to a club that you come back to that you quote unquote love, right? Because you can play him in if you're playing this 4-2-3-1. Where he's just a striker, meaning he doesn't have to drop in to build up play, just finish chances, and you give him as many chances as Haaland, he's not giving you 28, but he might give you 18, 20. You get what I'm saying? So it's not that he's horrible, but it's that if you do that to your club after coming back for 3 months and, oh, he's back, all this shit, I never want him to play for this club ever again. And it doesn't matter if he gives 2 months of good play and I don't want him to ever play for us.
I told every single person before we signed him that I didn't want him. And I was one of the minor fans that didn't want him. Yeah, me, I think Johnny was another one. All right. And I kept explaining to people why I didn't want him. Yeah. And people said, but he's a goal scorer. He's elite. Look what he's doing at Conte. He's unbelievable. And I said, he won't work at Chelsea. And it wasn't even anything to do with like him personally, because obviously at that point he didn't do anything wrong, because, you know, to us specifically, it was more how he fitted what we were doing at the time. And I didn't expect it to work. And it didn't, in my opinion. Even on the pitch, he had problems. And yes, he lacked a bit of creativity here and there. And I agree, we had that problem back then. But it's just how easily he just disappeared in the game. Like, it was just like he wasn't even on the pitch in some of the games. Yeah. You know?
The only reason I have to that is I didn't think we particularly had like a set way of playing. Yeah. Like established, this is the way we play. Because guess what? We were playing Havertz as number 9, right? We were playing Mount as right wing. This is under Tuchel. before he signed, right?
Mm.
We're playing Werner as left wing. It wasn't an ideal situation whatsoever. So in my head, I'm thinking, if Lukaku's coming in, this is towards the way you want to play. It's just like right now, right? Where people are looking at how we played certain games that we play well, not considering 90% of games. And they say, well, I don't really want a striker. I want to try this system without a striker and this and this and this and that. And to me, it's all on the direction of what the manager wants, right? Certain managers can't operate without strikers. They don't do it. They don't play without center forwards.
He also needs the right manager, though, didn't he? You saw it under Conte. He
Yeah,
just got the best out of
100%.
him, didn't he? Well, like, he's not a manager. He's not a player that, in my opinion, adapts to completely, all different managers' types of styles. I think he just suits a specific role. And if a manager can pretty much build around him and give him the confidence that you're the man, like Conte did with him, I think yes. But we wasn't doing that. And this was the issue. People were saying, well, if we bring Lukaku in, we should build around him. The manager that we had at Chelsea at the time wasn't building around any one player. He was building a system, that ticked, that flowed, that balanced. And that's what Tuchel was trying to do. He was trying to get the best out of what he had. He wasn't specifically focusing on just getting the best out of one player and working around that. He didn't do that.
True. But when summertime hits, right? Because you come in half of the season, you don't have a chance to build a team that you want. Then summertime hits, and you have a chance to do that, and a striker's on the table. I'm thinking this is what you want. You want a center forward to build your team through a center forward. Turns out he didn't really want that. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
And Lukaku's attitude was disgusting.
Interview and all that crap as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to stick on him because there's obviously targets to talk on, but I brought him up first just to clear the air because obviously he will be coming back to Chelsea. Inter Milan, obviously not really impressed with his form there. He's been, injured on and off. He's not looking as fit. He's not really getting involved in. He isn't the same beast, should we say? So he will be coming back. It's just what will Chelsea do with him? And obviously there's talks from Fabrizio Romano saying that we don't plan to have him in the team anyway, which means we'll probably put him up for sale. But I hope we do. And if it means we cut our losses, we do. Todd Bowley doesn't lose really any money because he didn't buy him anyway. It was the old regime that bought him. So, President Jafar says, does Lukaku have more goals than Havertz? 32 goals for Havertz and 15 for Lukaku. But obviously Havertz was over 3 seasons. So, yes, the answer to that is no. But if Lukaku don't work at Chelsea, then Osimhen. But no, we're going to talk about him next. Actually, that's the next person we're going to go on to. So let's talk about the options that we have available, Dan, and potentially could be looking at in the summer if we are going for a striker. And I will start with Victor Osimhen. Is it Osimhen? Osimhen. I don't even know how to say his name. Is it Osimhen? Osimhen. Yeah. Okay. So we've been linked to this guy as Man United, as other sort of big Premier League clubs are looking at. Napoli have slapped on €150 million figure on him. It's a lot of money. We're going to look at the stats of the individual and does he merit the kind of money that Napoli are chasing him for. Remember this though, with the football market in general, every player is inflated, and you never buy a player, especially a top player in Europe that's on fire, for the actual value of what they are. You always get inflation in the market, and that is what it is. So you're always going to end up paying more than you want to pay. When people say, "Oh, we're paying too much," well, we're paying too much because of the inflation. In the market. So that's just a thing. I mean, do you know what? Before I go to the stats, and obviously we go through some other bits that I've got here as well, let me ask you your thoughts on him, because I ain't gonna lie, I haven't watched him a ton of times. I've watched him through Champions League, and I thought he has a bit of a Drogba way about him in what I've watched it. But what are your thoughts, Dan, on him?
I think he's a killer. I think, just like Haaland, maybe obviously to a lesser level, but just like Haaland, he's mastered what you're supposed to master as a striker, which is finishing, right? From any position, right? Inside the box, headers, volleys, long range finish. Like, you just master how to finish the ball. So if you get 2 or 3 chances, you score 2. That's one thing about Osimhen, right? Now, over the last few years, he's built up the rest of his game a lot. He's built up his he's always had physical strength, but he's built up his hold-up play. He's dropping deep to combine with players and everything else. But simply put, the guy's a killer. He's just he's a really pure finisher.
Is he a
And he's not
Lukaku?
lazy.
Like he's good in that league, and like it's maybe like have the same issue as Lukaku did in coming at Chelsea. Is he that type of profile? Do you think, or do you think he's just he's not in terms of the?
I mean, he's nothing like Lukaku if you actually watch him play. And you know what's crazy is that people say that about him, but don't say that about Vlahovic. Why?
True, yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Is it because he looks like Lukaku? I don't get it. Like, is it every Serie A striker has this tag on them, or is it just him? Does every Bundesliga striker have the tag of Werner, or is it just him? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense that a striker who's doing it in that league, but also doing it in the Champions League, is seen as, who doesn't have glaring flaws, right? Lukaku had glaring flaws, especially his touch and his move. I mean, his weight, right? Him being able to move around the pitch and play like a high pressing system. Osimhen doesn't have that flaw. He presses a lot. He works hard because that's just, I mean, maybe he has the body for it, but that's just what he does. So when people mention the Italian league thing, I don't buy into that.
I don't think he's
as well, right? People love the Kvaratskhelia guy, right? Who does he play for?
Yeah.
Napoli. Yeah. So I mean, if you think Kvaratskhelia is this good and everything else, and Osimhen coming in scoring 21 goals, leading them to their first league title in 30 years, I mean, come on.
Well, what I would say is, in terms when people say from what I've seen of him, he isn't like Lukaku, and I'll tell you one of the reasons why. He's just he's not static. He's always on the move. It's something I've noticed him. He's more of a, like, when I watched Lukaku at Chelsea, you noticed every time the ball come in the box, he was just so static. He would just stay in one position and hope the ball would just land to him. I don't see that with Osimhen. I don't see him doing that. I see him being a player that's always on the move and in the right, And
he reminds me of Costa.
Yeah, he's got that Costa way. That's it.
Where he fights.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
He's constantly fighting in whatever position he's in, to get the ball, to press. Like, he reminds me a lot of Costa. It's nothing like Lukaku whatsoever. Like,
when you look at the leagues overall, obviously we can look at the goals scored. Obviously, you look at Serie A and he's top with 21 goals at the moment. Then you've got Martinez, and you've got the guy you just said, Kvaratskhelia, at 12 and whatever. Yeah. And then you've got La Liga where Lewandowski's still doing bits. Doesn't matter what league he's in, he seems to always be up there. Haaland's, breaking records as always. And Mbappe's top in Liga. I mean, the reason I bring this up, Dan, is because we're talking about the value. Obviously, 150 million euros is a lot of money. But when you look at him across Europe at the moment against all leagues, and you look at the goals scored in the league compared to the other top hitters across Europe, do you think he merits that 150 on that basis, or do you think, like I said, he's just a bit overinflated? What would you pay for him? Is what I'd probably ask.
He doesn't merit 150. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's about, at this point, we want the best of the best, right? We don't want, I personally don't want second options or cheaper options that this guy might still work. Like, we're planning for Chelsea for 4 or 5 years, in Europe, the best teams, all these different things. So the way I see it is if you can get him for maybe a little over what we paid for Enzo, because again, if you pay that much for like a center mid, you already know Napoli's not, any team is not going to ask for, much less for like a striker of his level, right? Because even Ramos, if Goncalo Ramos leaves in the summer, it's for 120. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So if that guy's leaving for 120, you kind of expect that he's going to go for more if somebody signs him. If not, if they wait one more year and wait till he has 1 year left, then maybe he goes for like 80 or something. But 120, 130, I think is valid based on what this market is.
Yeah, and a lot of it's probably, again, inflation and based on what he's done this season. And when you look at the market value, which was updated lastly on March 21, 23, which is quite recent, their market value him around 100 million euros. And so there's about a 50 million inflation in him at the moment, Yeah. So when you look at the obviously, I'm not going to break down specifically his positional sense. We all know he's a striker, but you look at his current season at the moment in Serie A and goals and assists. He's just a pure goal scorer. He's not more of an assister. 21 goals in Serie A.
Five assists in the Serie A isn't bad, but I mean, look at the goals. Look at the goal score: 21 and 23,
but
4 and 5 in the CL. Like it's ridiculous.
yeah, it is. And what was more intriguing for me was to see the consistency of this individual, because is it just another one hit wonder does well?
No.
When you look at last season's stats and what he did last season, he still banged 18 goals in all competitions, right? So he's still hitting double digits. He's had 6 assists, so he averages about 5, 6, 7 assists a season. And obviously he's always in double digits in front of goal. Again, another 14 goals in Serie A is priceless. Right. You look at the 2021 season of Victor Osimhen as well, and it just continues. I mean, he scored double-digit goals again. Played 24 games in Serie A. He scored 10 goals with 3 assists. And you go back to 1920, because 1920, I think he was he in France?
This is when he played us and he scored against us.
Yeah. So let's have a look at that, because in that season, look, he still banged 18 goals. Do you know what I mean? So what I take from what I've read there is that he is a goal scorer. You create enough, he's going to score. He will bag. He's not a one-season pony. He's someone that will give you double digits, you know. And if you're in a team that's creating a lot, and, you know, you got to bear in mind, Dan, we do create enough. And when people say we don't, we do create enough. But if you put someone like him on the end of them, he's easily, when you think of the games that we've maybe drawn and lost in the past, he's easily putting him in the back of the net, isn't it? You know, especially the ones that Joao Felix is it. Do you know what I mean?
Some of those chances, even with Havertz, I know people like him, but some of those chances, especially in Champions League, when he's running through and he has like a center back on him or something, I promise you put Osimhen in that situation, that center back is on his back and he's scoring. That's just the way. That's how strong he is, and just his desire to score. Like I said,
quick? Is he quick? Is he quick?
Yeah, I mean, he's not like lightning quick, but he's quick enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, so and that comment where Toney plays in a deadly attacking team, yeah, because of him. I mean, did you see the goal scoring table? It's only him and Kvaratskhelia on that list, right?
Yeah.
And he's about 12 goals over Kvaratskhelia, right? He has 24 or 21. Kvaratskhelia has what, 12? You know what I'm saying? So it's like 12, it's not even, he's the reason why they're so deadly. Don't twist it like it's a deadly team and he's just playing in the deadly team. No, he's the reason why.
Yeah, he played at Lille. Obviously, we know he's at Napoli. He played at Lille, so you know he got a 75 million euro move to Napoli when he made that move. 22. It was about 22 million when he was at Lille when he moved to this. So.
I mean, just one more comment on that, right? Yeah. He moved around the same time Havertz did. Now look at his output versus Havertz during that time. In terms of strikers, we prefer a certain type of people want a certain type of striker, more fluid, can do this, do that, whatever, can do everything, like the perfect striker, right? And that's why people want this Kolo Muani guy, who I don't think he's a good option at all. I'll be honest.
We'll talk about him in a bit, but you know we shouldn't really be. When we bought Kai Havertz originally back then, no one thought we bought Kai Havertz to be a striker and score goals anyway. It wasn't like yeah, we got a goal scorer, 20, 30 goals a season, Havertz, did we? You know, it was I don't know. Anyway, we moved to his injury record because that's also worth looking at, isn't it? In terms of detailed injuries, and he's missed, I don't know, 2 games here, 3 games there. The longest he's missed is 14 games in 2020. He had a bit of a shoulder injury, which is they're one-off, so you can always recover from them. But in terms of actual muscular injuries, he's only missed of recent 6 games, which was a bicep muscle injury.
Yeah.
COVID in between that cheekbone. And he's had some weird injuries because it's not actually leg injuries. It's all like shoulder, cheekbone, bicep. Yeah, he had the calf back in 18, which was 2 days. But he seems to be well equipped to be able to come to the Premier League and play the volume of games that we know we play, 2-3 games a week, 3 games in 10 days sometimes. So that's another thing I was looking at for what you're buying and spending in terms of value for the guy. Obviously, being the availability is important, right? When you're bringing these type of players in. So injuries is not really too much of a worry, would we say, when it comes to Victor? Looking at this, he seems to be.
It's not muscle. A lot of muscle injuries, right? Because he did miss about about 20 games last year, like calendar year wise, right? So he missed 6 last season, and then I mean more than 6. Yeah, I mean 6 this season rather, and then he missed about 14 last season, right? Or a little more than that actually. About 16. So it's it's not too much of a worry because it's not muscle injuries, right? It's a cheekbone fracture, it's coronavirus, it's a head injury, it's coronavirus again, and shoulder injuries. It's a couple muscle problems that we can look at and say, but it's not a recurring muscle injury or muscle problem. So I don't think that's like a really big deal for him. I think he'll be fine when it comes to that because of the type of injuries. But I can understand that people are saying, nah, I don't know, he has too many injuries. I can get that.
Yeah. Well, he's option one. Obviously more on the expensive side, shall we say. Option two is someone that kind of has a bit of a mixed feel in the fan base. It's been spoken about quite a lot. Some people feel that he's maybe even a better option for cheaper of the price, and thinks that the Premier League is more suited for Vlahovic. What do you think? What do you think from what you've seen of him as a striker? Do you think he's someone that would fit Chelsea mold quite well and how we're playing in it?
No. You know what it is with him? It's not about the physical attributes or the talent, right? Especially when it comes to these strikers at the bigger clubs. It's really about like, do they have, and I hate to put it this way, but do they have that dog in them? Where like it doesn't matter the situation of that team, essentially, you still see that they're that kind of striker. When he moved to this Juve team, his performances have dropped incredibly. You know what I'm saying? And they were in a far better situation than Napoli was when Osimhen got there. He hasn't performed for the last couple of years that he's been there.
Yeah.
And then I think people are thinking, and this is my only thing, is that we're not a rehabilitation center, like especially for strikers. I haven't seen a striker that we've signed that was bad somewhere else and come to Chelsea and just blown up. If you can remember any, like even just one or two in the last 25 years, I'll hear it. But I haven't, like, be it Torres, Falcao, Higuain. I mean, we can keep going of we can reform this guy. We can't reform anybody. If he picks up form and he mentally shows that he can play for a team like Juve and score those goals and be a big player, then yeah, we can definitely look at him. But he hasn't proven that. And yeah, to me, he's the worst option out of all the options. Like
when I look at his attributes, he looks like a type of player that would do quite well in the Premier League. I think he has the abilities to be able to be physical, hold the ball up, and do these bits. The only thing that worries me with him a little bit, I think he's a goal scorer. I mean, we're going to look at his stats in a second. I think he can bang goals if you create enough in and around for him. I don't think Juventus have been in, again, not watching loads of them, have been in the greatest of times at the moment with all the crap that's been going on there as well. What you're saying is right. Are we going to be able to sort of reignite the best out of Vlahovic? Is that going to work? Him just coming in, us trying to, to bring the best out of him, which we haven't really seen in Juventus. A lot of people in the chat are saying, they'd prefer Toney. We're going to go to Toney. They're talking about Muani as well. We're going to talk about him as well. Not many people were that confident in the idea. But Vic says he would still swap Lukaku for Vlahovic if he had to. I mean, I would probably, to be fair, as well, 100%. He's just a penalty box striker. I think we need an all-round striker. So he feels that his all-round game's not good enough. I mean, Don's here as well. Don, we spoke about Victor Osimhen already. Vlahovic as a target for Chelsea in the summer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. I heard what you guys were saying about Osimhen. Personally, for me, I would say he's definitely better on the ball than Osimhen, and intends to drop a lot deeper than Osimhen. But I would say in the box, Osimhen's more of a killer, and physically as well. I would prefer Osimhen as an actual target there. And yeah, like Daniel just said as well, like he hasn't been the Vlahovic before he moved to Juventus. Like, I don't know whether it's injuries or, everything that's going on with Juve at the moment. He just doesn't look the same player that we were seeing at Fiorentina, especially a lot of those clips that I was seeing literally week after week, just him banging goals and the sort of goals he was getting as well. He's not a bad player, but I think when we're looking at the options available now, definitely bottom of my list. He's not the sort of player I think we should be pushing for at the moment. I think we should definitely be pushing for either Osimhen or Toney. But I think overall his attributes, he is a good player. He can definitely link up play. Not as good as Toney. I think we'll get into Toney a lot more. But yeah, I think in the box he's not as much of a killer as Osimhen. But overall, I would say he's a better footballer. But I would say Osimhen's the better striker,
Don,
all-out striker.
does he remind you? And I like to use other players of similar build, similar talent level who've moved to bigger clubs.
Yeah.
Like Jovic, right? When Luka Jovic moved to Real Madrid, right?
Yeah.
He was scoring a crazy amount of goals, could drop deep, all this perfect striker shit. Moved to Real Madrid and completely flopped, right? Left Real Madrid, went to Italy, has 4 goals in 25 games. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
rehabilitation sometimes it's like for a lot of young fans, it's straightforward. He's not in a team that fits him. Let him come to this team and it's gonna work. That's not always how it works. It's not cut and dry.
So
You know
in
what I'm saying?
in terms of Dusan, obviously he offers more in terms of build-up play, but what we're saying with Victor is that he's more of a in the box finisher. But I still think Dusan can finish as well. I've seen him put
Now,
some balls.
Dusan can finish. Everyone's
But
people. I'm seeing people in the comments saying he can't finish. He can definitely
can.
finish.
Yeah.
He
Can finish. But there must be outside factors that are going on with Juve because what's going on over there is mad, and he's had injuries
Yeah.
recently as well, hasn't he? So
Yeah.
let's not act like he's a dead player because he's not.
No,
He's a
he's
good
not
player.
dead. He's not dead.
But
I think we're
yeah, I
like,
think
if we're comparing options and we're making a list, like a tier list. For me, it's like I can work with any of these guys, with Toney, with him, with Osimhen, but
Mm.
I said this in some kind of space. We're in a place where we need the highest quality right now, not okay quality that can develop or whatever. We need the best of the best to drag us up from where we are to put us back where we need to be, right? And we have a lot of players who, well, if this guy develops the right way, if this guy does this, if this guy does this, if he comes back, we don't need another one of those.
No,
You
we
know
don't
what
want
I'm
another Lukaku. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
this is why I just want it's either Osimhen for me or it's Toney. You get what I'm saying? I don't want. Yeah.
We're going to get into them the other possibilities in a second. Just quickly fly through. Obviously, the market value, which was updated on March 21st, 23 for Vlahovic, is showing still 75 million euro player. But when you look at the stats for this season, like obviously Dan reiterated on earlier, obviously not the greatest. Obviously, he's played 28 games in all competitions with 11 goals, still in the double digits, but the lower ends of it with 4 assists. Again, not the worst. That could get better by the end of the season. Who knows? You look at him, the season before that. And let's just have a quick look and see what he's. Yeah, so he played 36 games with this 29 goals and 6 assists, which is probably one of his best seasons. I think this is where he was getting heavily noticed. And we go to 2021 on him as well. So, we looked at Victor's last, till 2019, and we're going to do the same here. Again, 21 goals, 2 assists. He knows where the goal is. There's no doubt that he's not a
100%.
goal scorer. He can, if you get him the right players around him and you create for him and he's in a good environment, there's nothing that tells me that he can't score goals. Obviously here, not as great, 35 games, 9 goals. So it's a bit half and half for me, but it's still more better than even this season. Even though he's not having the greatest of seasons, he still scored 11 goals in all competitions, and we're not at the end of the
And the
season.
good thing about him as well, Jem, is
Yeah.
he likes getting involved with the play. He's not just going to
Yeah.
stand, static like Lukaku did for us. A lot of the times I'd watch him, right? He wants to get involved. He wants to link up, and he's quite good on the ball. Passing range isn't as good as Toney, I would say, but he could definitely create in the final third, I would say. When it comes to just giving basic passes that a lot of strikers struggle to do.
Jem, would you guys compare him to like when we got Nicholas Anelka, where we knew he was a much better player than what he was showing at Bolton, right? But he just wasn't good enough by himself to win us a league title. But he's a good player. And he can come in, he can do a job. He can probably get 20 goals, 21 goals. I don't know. I just don't have that. This guy wins me a league title feel about him.
Do you know what it is, Dan? Do you know what it is? Because I think you're quite skeptical now because of what's happened with his time at Juve. Yeah. If this was Vlahovic straight from Fiorentina, I think you'd have a different opinion on it. From what you've seen, right? But
also, you got to think of this as well.
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
Even if he scores, say, 15 goals in all competitions for Chelsea, let's say he does a Lukaku, you have Christopher Nkunku. Now, I'm expecting Christopher Nkunku to easily bag 10 to 15 goals. easily because he has the qualities to do that as well. You've already got yourself in a position where you've got two players in the box, arriving in the box that can finish now, which is what we've struggled for what a couple of years now, right?
Yeah,
So
but Jim, that's why I like that Osimhen thing, right? Where he has 21 goals and then Kunku has 13. But I know he can get 21. So if Vlahovic can get maybe, let's say, 18, 19 goals, and then Kunku can get 14 goals, that's a Premier League winning duo. That you can win the Premier League with that. Obviously, other players have to put in, but if those two can do that, you can win the Premier League with that. So, yeah,
100%. You look at his injury record; it's not that bad, really. He's only missed in total 11, 12 games since 1920. So when it comes to being available and actually being able to play, availability is a very important thing as well. He seems to be someone that can hack it and do it as well. AJ's here as well. AJ, big up to you, mate. How you doing? You all right?
Yes, sir. Big up, Jim. Big up, guys. What's up?
Big up, bro.
What's your thoughts on Vlahovic before we move on from him as an option?
I mean, just quickly, he's not a player that I've watched too much, but I've definitely seen a little bit of him. You see, I like strikers who have some like presence and body about them, and he definitely checks that mark. You know, he throws himself about. He could finish in the box. He could get involved in the play. So I do think he's a good option. He's not on world-class form like he was, what was that, 2 seasons ago or whatever, where he just stormed the league.
It was actually last season.
Oh, it was last season. You see, that's how crazy the vibes is different now. Like it's really different for him. But
is he gone? AJ? You cut off, mate.
Yeah, I think he cut off. Maybe a call or something.
He's cut off. All right. Well, when he comes back, he can finish off on that. But I want to move on to number 3. Option number 3. This guy. Ivan Toney.
Big Ivan.
Yeah.
Big Ivan. Now, what do we know about Ivan? What do we know about Ivan Toney? Well, we know that he's Premier League proven because he plays here. We know that he can score goals in what is a lesser team, which is Brentford, and still doing an amazing job from it. I've watched him give Arsenal problems, manhandling their defense on his own. I've seen him give so many big teams a problem to deal with. And if you could place him in a team like Chelsea with the likes of Felix and others that are going to be problems of their own, and he's just not the only problem, which is what he is in Brentford. He's the only problem. Do you know what I mean? It's just going to give him more freedom. It's going to allow him to be in more pockets of spaces and actually be more effective in games. I would put Ivan Toney as my number 1. My opinion. I would choose Ivan Toney. I've wanted Ivan Toney for the last year or 2 years now from what I've seen of him. I think he's built in his presence and the ability to hold balls, link up play, but also have the ability to be able to arrive in the box. He's not the quickest, but again, he's not the slowest. He'll arrive in the box at the right time. His finishing is good enough for a striker. We'll look at his stats in a bit.
His penalty taking as well.
Yeah, how much is he going to cost is the question, and then we're going to look at market value, but I don't know what inflation will be on him this season. It's a shame that he had the betting thing going on. That's what really pushed it aside a little bit. But talking about ticking the boxes, I don't get why people say no to Ivan Toney. I mean, is it just because they don't know whether he can take the next step into a bigger team, play Champions League football and do these things, which is true because it is the unexpected with Ivan Toney. Can he play better around better players? I don't know if we should be really worried about things like that, Dan, right?
But Jem, you see how you feel about Toney there, what you just mentioned, is how I feel about Declan Rice when people sort of just dismiss him. Do you know what I mean? Because Toney was getting dismissed quite early on. With me, I wanted to see more from him because last season wasn't his best first season in the Prem, right? I was seeing bits and bobs here and there, but it wasn't his best first season. But as of this season, he's definitely, I'm sold. Like I'm sold 100%. But Dan, I'll let you go in.
Toney's not good enough. So some of the chat feel he's not good enough, Dan. I mean, what would you say?
It doesn't make sense. Listen, okay, let me kind of be charitable to that point of view, right? And say this. You might be able to say that because of the style of play that he's been used to playing at. Like he's a little bit like Grealish, right? Where he's a big fish in a really small pond, where everything really goes through him, right? They long balls, whatever. And then he brings it down. So he's able to show a lot of his talents. He's able to get involved, touch the ball a lot, and everything else that comes with that. Can he do that at Chelsea? That's the only question, where you get less of the ball. We're not booting it to you every chance we get when we're in trouble and expecting you to bail us out. So maybe, he doesn't feel that same presence that he did. And that's a maybe to me. Like, I don't even think that's me being charitable to that kind of position of maybe he's not good enough to make the next step. I think he's good enough, right? From what I've seen, his passing, his ball striking, everything else, and mentally, he seems like a player who has been waiting to make that next. Who, when he makes that next jump, he's going to die there, right? He's going to do everything he can, to make sure he makes his presence felt when he makes that next jump. So, for me, I think he would be a really good striker for us. Like I said, my top two is Osimhen at number 1 and him at number 2. But the price also helps. Yeah, he's getting a ban. But think of it this way. If he has a half-year ban next year, and we come in the summer and say, listen, we'll give you $35 million for him. We can't use him for half a year. He has 2 years left. You know what I'm saying? So give us the price of 1 year left Toney. So we'll give you $50 million for him instead of 70, 75.
He is 27 years old. He is 27 years old.
Exactly. So, he's probably the one that we can get the best price for because, with the ban, everything else, you can get a really good deal. So maybe play half a season without a striker or, figuring it out with Broha, whoever. I don't know. If you can get him for 45, 50, then he'll be my number 1. If everybody is around the expensive price, 80 million, that type of range, and then I want Osimhen. But I think he's very, 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 very good. People are being super uncharitable to him, talking about, he's not a Chelsea striker because of what? I think a lot of it, and I hate to go this route, it's just that when some of these black strikers, when they look at them, they have to prove a crazy amount for them to be seen as, oh, he's ready to make the step. While players like Jovic and Vlahovic or whoever, it's just like, yeah, a couple good seasons and like, come on, he's been killing it in this league. Ferguson has had 5 months of good play, and people are saying he's a Chelsea striker. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I hear you. Go to AJ. AJ, I mean, Ivan Toney. Sorry, I don't know what happened earlier. You cut off.
Yeah, my bad. My phone rang.
Ivan Toney, mate.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, again, first of all, let me just say this is my number 1 choice. I know Osimhen is a great option. He's actually the form guy, so I get it. But for some reason, Ivan Toney reminds me of Drogba. I don't know why. He reminds me of Drogba. Not ideally. There's no two ideal
the link up in it. I think it's the link up.
Exactly, the link up, the play style. He's a great finisher. He's good aerially. He's strong. He can hold up. Like, it's just so many positives. On top of that, he's experienced, and there's the mentality, like Dan said. That's one of my favorite things. The mentality is so important, especially at Chelsea, and we lack that so much. So, I mean, I feel you, Chun, but I don't know. There's nobody that's gonna be ideally like Drogba, but I think Toney is my number 1 striker right now. Jem.
I think people need to bear in mind I'm not saying Victor's about like he's not, Toney and Victor are like Victor's miles better than Toney, because I don't think that's the case in my opinion. But some people are like shocked that you're naming Toney over Victor. There's a lot more factors than just that. You have to look at the 150 million price tag on there, and what you're getting. We looked at Victor's stats, very good stats. He's a goal scorer. I can see it. All right, but what is it that we need specifically to move forward and go in the right direction quicker? And when you think about the overall striker and the profile striker, Ivan Toney does do a bit of let me just put it this way: the most successful strikers at Chelsea, and it's very small, minor. I'm talking about the ones that have won titles. Are all players that are able to do a bit of everything. But one thing massively that they do really well is that they bully defenses. They invite their attackers to come and play with them because they're so good at holding the ball up and and they're strong. And like having a Lukaku presence where they look like that figure, but they just hang around the box static and don't move, doesn't work for us. We need a striker that can do a bit of everything, and he's got that physical presence that can score, that can help the team when it needs to be helped, rather than disappearing because they only have one good trait, which is standing in the box and scoring a goal. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's where we go wrong.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's it right there. Just like that statement that Cundy says that you're sharing right now. He's literally a Chelsea forward. The way he looks and the way he plays, like that's too perfect.
100%. What are you saying, Dom?
Yeah, no, for me, when I've had conversations in various group chats about Toney or Osimhen, I've been banging on about I prefer Toney just because his all-round game, Gem. If you see how we're building this team at the moment, right? I think we're looking to share goals all over the pitch, and I don't want a situation where we're playing just for Osimhen, the way City play just for Haaland, because Osimhen overall, if you look at his overall game, he's not as good on the ball as Toney or Vlahovic. That's for one.
Yeah.
But in the box, he's a killer. But that's the thing about Toney. It doesn't take away how good Toney is in the box because he can finish in the box. But what he does give you is that opportunity to link up and actually bring in other players such as Mudryk, such as Madueke, maybe even Enzo, just dropping it back to him, bang it outside of the box. Do you know what I mean? So the link up and overall play, I think we're definitely building a team and a system now where we need to be sharing goals all over the pitch. Obviously, Toney being that striker, we want him to be the top scorer and trying to get a golden boot and whatnot. But overall, I think with what we're trying to build and what would fit our system best, I definitely think Toney would definitely be that sort of final.
A lot of people think,
Just that last point you made, bro, about we want a team where everybody can score goals, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that you can create. It's just something that happens. If you have goal scoring forwards, like wide forwards, then you have a team that several players can score goals. If you don't, then your striker has to score a lot of goals, right? 100%. Just like City for this season, losing goal scoring wingers, which people didn't want to recognize, like Sterling, you know what I mean? Those guys leaving means that a lot of the focus of the goals have to come from the center forward because Foden isn't getting you 13 goals. And Mahrez hasn't really done that for like a lot of seasons. I think he probably still can get you 15 goals. So you're getting 30 something from Haaland, maybe 12 from Mahrez, maybe another 7 or 8 from Foden, right? But most of the goals are coming. You just adjust to what systems give you. If they give you a Mane and Salah, then you don't have to have a goal scoring striker. You have 2 wingers who can score 20 goals in a freaking season, right? But for us, I think we're assuming a lot of these young guys that we have are going to become that, right? Their games can develop to different things. Maybe not goal scoring is the number one thing, and they all haven't shown. Well, a lot of them haven't shown in their short history that they have that in them, except for Nkunku coming in, and he's about 25, right? The rest of them haven't shown like kind of that Osimhen history that, oh yeah, maybe in 2 years I can see him scoring 25 goals, right? So my thing is I don't want to plan for the ideal unexpected and rather plan for, what I can 100% get, right? And without losing the core, the essence of how I want to play my team. Kvaratskhelia is having his greatest season with him coming from, what was it, the Ukrainian league? You know what I'm saying? With no experience in the better, half of Europe, came into the team playing with a striker like him, having his best season ever. A great season. So he knows how to work with these guys, right? It's a myth that certain strikers don't, the general play dies because those strikers are in your team. So I'll put it this way. I think right now Osimhen is at the level that Costa was when we signed him. I think Ivan Toney has more tools to play like, let's say, Drogba, right? But he's not at Drogba's level. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because Drogba could win a game by himself, like literally by himself. Everybody else could be having a 2 out of 10, and Drogba wins it by himself, 10 out of 10. He's not there.
He has the ability to do that. And when you look at what Drogba was at Marseille to what Drogba was at Chelsea,
so that's my only, can he get to can he become a world-class player? I think so. Can he get to Drogba's level where he's just unplayable on his day? I don't know. Can Osimhen be Diego Costa, like on that level, just every game fight, play this way? I think so.
I think you have to look at the ability more than can he make it. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look at Didier Drogba, before we know the Didier Drogba and how good he become, we decided to make the decision to sign him from Marseille. When he was at Marseille, he was still banging. He was still, he showed attributes at a lesser team. We played them, by the way, a couple of times as well. Yeah. At a lesser team, he showed the attributes of being someone that could go on and be top class / world class, which is what he is, world class now. We made the decision to sign him. Do you remember how much we signed him for back then? Does anyone of you guys remember?
I think it was like 40 million, 30, 35.
Yeah, it was around 30, 40 million, which back then was a lot of money. It was pretty much more like 70, 80 million now, probably, I'd say. We bought him in. He had his first season and he flopped hard. And there was a lot of Chelsea fans crying for him to get sold. They thought he was not good enough. They worded him out the door. We then sort of, I wouldn't say built, yeah, I wouldn't say build around him, but we then sort of improved the squad around him, and he just grew better and better, and he needed that time to adapt, and then he grew into it, right? At that point, he was never, like he became Didier Drogba from then onwards, all right? Before that, at Marseille, it was a risk bringing a player like him across because it was like, what are we getting? What is he? Who is he? Yeah, does that make sense? So with Ivan Toney, what I'm saying is you don't have to specifically look at can he reach the levels? It's does he have them qualities already at the lesser team? And to unlock it, you then put him in a team like Chelsea with the right qualities and creativity, and he then just becomes that better player. I think he can do that.
But it's a little bit of a
thing. He gives us the best of both worlds. Like he gives us that creativity as well as still being that striker that we need. Do you know what I mean?
He's Prem ready.
And he's Prem ready as well. We've already seen him do it in the Prem. He knows the teams. He knows the league. He knows the fixtures. He knows the fans, how they are. Like for me, it's just a little bit less of a risk. Not to say that Osimhen's going to come Chelsea and flop. 100% he's a killer. I think he'll get so many goals in his team. But what Toney produces overall and what we're trying to build with this team, because this team's here to stay. Like these guys are on 8-year contracts. Do you know what I mean? So we need to start sharp. We need to start sharp next season. So I think with Toney, he will definitely help a lot of these guys.
I think we're built in a way that I think just quickly, I think we're built in a way where and we did it with Lukaku, because someone's banging in goals and he's got a record, this and the other, and he's well known across Europe and he's one of the hot. It's like where we're so used to always going for that option. I think sometimes we feel that's just the way it is. That's the right option. We're going to do it rather than thinking about the profile. And I always scream profile. Even when we signed Lukaku, I said, don't want him because he's not the right profile. Yeah, but he's a scorer. Look at him. This, that. Yeah, he scores goals.
And I've said that to you a few times, Jem. Right. I'm being so specific because of how many misjudgments and how many errors that the old board made. Like I love Roman for everything that he brought to the club and everything that he's given us right over the years, but they made so many mistakes because of the misprofiling of players. So for me now going forward, I'm so specific. I look at the team, I'm like, right, what's going to fit this system right now? And Osimhen could work, but for me, I think Toney would definitely.
Well, he's 50 million euros. A lot more. He's 50 million euros. That's the current market rate for him at the moment. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of inflation. I think he's probably going to be around 60, in my opinion, 60 to 70. Whether Chelsea can get him down from that is another thing. Goals scored this season. He's on 17 in all competitions. Obviously, plays most of his.
He's just behind Kane, isn't he?
Yeah, in the Premier League. I think he is. I don't know. I've not looked at the goals.
I think it's just behind Kane. Yeah, he is. He's third goal scorer. Third highest goal scorer in the Premier.
Yeah, last year he scored 14 goals in 37 games. So again, he's in double digits there, in the Premier League at a lesser club. And then he scored 33 goals back in the Championship. That's when he really come alive and kicked on. Obviously, right, the quality there, levels there are a lot less, but you could see the difference from a Premier League player to a Championship player, and quality's down there. Do you know what I mean?
Can I give this caveat, right? And this was the same caveat I gave for what's his name, Vlahovic, right? Is that making that step up to the bigger club, or being in that, having that kind of pressure and all these things kind of around you, right? Like even when you look at Drogba, before we signed Drogba, he was the hottest property, right? He had 35 goals in 55 games for Marseille in one season, and we signed him right after that, right? So it's not like we just looked at his qualities and he had 12 and 50, and we were like, hey, yeah, we can get this from him. No, he already proved that. He was League One Player of the Year. You know what I'm saying? He had 5 goals in 6 games in the Champions League. He was recognized in the Champions League as well. So it was he had already proven. And Marseille is a massive club in France, right? A lot of history, right? So him winning a league title for them was a massive deal. that kind of thing is like, I don't know. It's just a little different once you've been able to do it for a big club than if you've never done it and then you have to do it, right? To be able to, because a lot of these guys have talent. They can all pass and shoot and play with the ball and all this. Like, it's not rare. It's
partly management though, Dan, as well. It is management.
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat management, just somewhat like you've been there before, right? So you know, even when Drogba came to Chelsea in his first season, he scored like 12 goals. And we won the league. The next season, he scored like 14 goals in the league, right? Where he wasn't quite himself, right? You knew, well, the people who signed him knew, like, yeah, he's gonna get, like, he's still that striker. He's gonna get 30 goals, 27, whatever goals that we want him to get. Because even in his bad years that Chelsea fans wanted him out, he had 12 goals, 14 goals.
But
in
Toney,
for strikers now, they're giving you 6 goals, 5 goals.
But Toney, exactly, and I was just gonna say that Toney has proven his goal scoring abilities as well. He's up there
I'm just giving, like, I don't know. I'm trying to give like the other side. I want Toney. I think Toney for me is number 2, but I'm just giving like maybe this is why people wouldn't want him because they haven't seen him at that level.
Yeah,
it's different. It's not the glamour signing. Remember when we signed Giroud? Look at how effective Giroud was for us for like 3 years. We won a trophy every year.
There's
so
definitely.
Go ahead,
there's definitely a mixed bag in the chat about the feeling around it. Some are just not buying it whatsoever. Others are like saying, "Are you mad? Like, he's this. He's
I think what it is, Jim. I think a lot of people need to get out the mentality of, okay, yeah, we know Chelsea are a big club, and get out the mentality of thinking we need to get a player from a top club for them to succeed at Chelsea, because that's how we end up getting all these flops. Do you know what I mean? That's how we end up getting all these flops. And if you look at Toney's come up as well, he's done it the right way. The guy was at Newcastle, ended up on loan. He got 40 goals in the Championship, which isn't easy to do, right? I think he's got the most goals in the Championship. I think still holds a record. I'm not sure if he still holds it now, but I think he held it at the time. But he's done it. He's done it properly. And for me, I just feel like with the system that we're building, he fits it best. He definitely fits it best. But I'm not against Osimhen. We
got 1 or 2 more options to quickly check on as well. Ivan Toney's injury record, by the way, is crazy. He's only had 1 injury and he missed 8 games. He had an ankle injury and that was it, 15-16. That's a long time ago. Other than that, he's availability wise, he's there. So that's good. Guys, before we move forward, please make sure that you're hitting the likes. There's over 250 people in the show today. But I know there isn't enough likes. I've just checked and I'm actually quite shocked we've only got this much likes. So I ain't going to continue until you guys hit the thumbs, because we have not got enough likes sitting here. You're all watching it, but no one's hitting the thumb. So can everyone that's watching please smash a thumb now? How quickly, Chelsea Fan TV, can you get that to 100 likes? You should easily be over 100 likes now with the 200 people that are here. So if you've not hit the thumb, please do so now. And let's see how quickly we can get these thumbs up as well. And we're going to go on to, like I said, the next individual, which there's a couple of people in the chat want, and they keep talking about. I don't know much about him, all right, but you guys might. I've seen him at France.
That's Eugene's boy. I've been seeing you, Eugene, in the chat, bro.
Kolo Muani is a player that some people in the chat are screaming and saying is the perfect option for Chelsea. Dan, I'm going to ask you, do you know much about Kolo Muani?
I'm not going to pretend like I know too much about him, right?
So we're going to need stats.
I have my reservations. I guess we could look at his stats. I saw him play for France, and I've seen maybe 2 of his games in the Bundesliga. But you know me, that's probably the worst league I like to watch. I hate that league, so I don't. There's not much I can say about him when it comes to like a guaranteed view. But I would say this is he's doing this for 1 year in the Bundesliga, and more than any league. That's the league I worry about the most, right? Where players can goals, but that outburst of goals doesn't mean it's going to translate over 4 or 5 years. You get what I'm saying? And also I think I'm not sure how long he's been playing number 9 as well. I think he's just started playing number 9.
Yeah, he's played. He was a left. He played off the left, I believe, originally, didn't he? And then he sort of moved into a number 9 role.
No, I think it's a big risk. I think people like it because he dribbles, and he looks good in comps. People love that. Once you can dribble and look good in comps, they're already sold. So I don't know. Like,
the one thing I would say is about him, and it's fine, if he is playing the striker role as well, is Jesus, the guy can assist. 14 assists. He's 16 goals and 14 assists is his record this season so far.
Again, that's what people like as well, right? Him getting that many assists. I think, and again, this is my personal bias. I want a killer in front of goal. I know what striker works for Chelsea, right? And 12 assists is nice, but
14.
14 overall, right?
14 overall,
14 overall, right? But in terms of goal scoring, when you look at his goal scoring record, like you can go through the rest of the years as well, but I just don't think he has the same pedigree as the other strikers we're kind of looking at. And he's going to cost too much money for one season of 11 goals and 12 assists. Like, I don't like that.
How much is too much money though compared to Osimhen? It'll be like half price.
Yeah,
but then Toney would be like half price.
They're quoting 100 mil for him. They're quoting 150 for Osimhen. Let's say we get Osimhen for 140 and we could get him for 90.
Yeah,
I'm still going for Osimhen. Like just from the history.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
The top.
So he scored 59 goals in 198 appearances, Vicar said, but 16 of these goals in 35. So obviously he's had periods where he's
had a purple patch. This is the purple patch.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to work out here. So let's go. I mean, I don't even know if let's have a quick look if he's got any history behind that as well. Let's go to 21-22. Or is this his season where he's coming alive, which is what we're saying, do you know what I mean? Well, he scored 13 goals and 7 assists.
You see it said 30, he's worth 37 mil in the top right corner.
Maybe we just don't sign Felix and we get him as off the wing or something. He scores lots of goals and assists. Maybe he'd be a better option. Maybe that's a good option for Chelsea.
You know what it is with him, Jem? If the striker market was as bad as it has been the past few seasons, right? He would be more of an option. But there's I would say if there's 2 solid strikers ahead of him right now. He's not a bad player.
Let him hit 30 something goals first before, you know what I mean? Like just hit 20 or something like in the league for us to say, okay, let's make this massive leap. Like I don't know. He's never hit like even Toney, like championship wise, 33 goals. You've never hit even 20 goals. Like I don't know if Vlahovic has a history 27, 27, 21, even though he's been playing this year.
What
you know what I mean? Osimhen has a history.
What is it that we want? Because if we want someone that we're just going to bring in because we want to give him time and we think he's got the abilities to do it, or do you want someone that's proven?
We need someone to come in.
This is Chelsea Football Club, right? We can't just keep going. Oh, he had one good season. I think he might be a good answer. Let's get him in. We need to start getting players that are actually just.
We need to mix and match. We need to mix and match because in January we brought in a lot of unproven players. So we need to start bringing in proven players and get the best out of these players that aren't so proven. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of these players that we brought in, Jem, even Enzo, like we were having a conversation the other day. The guy's been a professional for 3 seasons. I mean, Enzo's a different level, right? But we need to start bringing in some proven players. So look, nothing against is it Muani? Yeah, nothing against Muani. He's a good player, but for what we need right now. We need someone who is more ready-made, a little bit more experienced, and let's see how he gets on. You never know what could happen in the future.
I feel that Chelsea OG has a bit of a different opinion on this. What are your thoughts on the strikers that we've seen? I mean,
when it comes to strikers at Chelsea these days, I didn't even want to watch. Unless unless it's a Premier League striker, I don't even want to watch the highlights. I just want to see the Champions League games, and even then, like half the Champions League games don't count because they're against. Who knows their name? Literally, don't. So like Osimhen's probably the only brother that scored against top teams in the Champions League, right? Like, who else has scored? Like, if they do get Champions League goals against some unknown team, Osimhen's the only guy that I feel like his highlights carry value. When certain man's highlight scored against Frankfurt, like I can't really rate you that much. I know it's a bit of a piss take, but Bro, with Chelsea, fam, we get one good striker every decade, bro. Zola, Drogba, and Costa.
Feels like it.
You know what I'm saying?
The last
Hopefully this
couple one was
decade's
Costa,
one,
innit?
we don't make.
Madness.
What about Ivan Toney?
Yeah, see, Ivan Toney, as I said, Premier League highlights, that don't count. But, bro, you see what happened with Partey today. I know that this is not, but just all that speculation, whether it's this what case or that case, I don't really, want to bring that to Chelsea. Hopefully he busts his case, gets a small fine, and then we can move on.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'll take Toney if he busts case. If he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want.
What I have done is-
Who's your number one choice though?
This is what I was going to do now because this is. So I've just so let me explain.
Oh
this
yeah,
to people.
there we go.
Let me
Imagine a striker.
let me explain this.
What are you cooking, Jem? What is it? What are you cooking?
Listen, right? The reason I've gone like this is because Joao Felix isn't actually a Chelsea player right now. I'm talking about summer moving forward. He's not. He's just on loan.
Mhm.
Yeah, but let's say he gets signed though. Let's say he gets
No,
signed.
but he's not signed. At this moment in time, he's not signed, all right?
Okay,
So
all
we
right,
have
fair,
no Joao Felix. Right? I'm just saying that Havertz stays, Joao Felix goes, I don't know, Mount leaves, Havertz is staying. I'm telling you now, right? This is how Guy Havertz is here, right?
Yeah.
It's more like it's going to happen this way, all right? So you have Kai Havertz, who will be in the team, won't he? Obviously, come on, guys. Like, he'll be in the team. And then you have Nkunku on the left, and then you got the striker up front. And this is my question to you guys. Obviously, I haven't included a midfielder because I know we're probably going to look at that. But again, I don't know. We just don't know if we're going to get him. But let's just say this was Chelsea going into next season, and we're going to have a striker that's going to lead the line. Who would you like to lead the line in this system specifically, Dan?
I have a lot of thoughts about this whole system.
Who's going first?
But let me try my best to stick to the point and just take it as it is. I'm still taking Osimhen. You know what I mean? That's my number one. Number two is Toney. I think they fit again.
Dan, the reason why you're saying that because you know exactly who fits into that system. You know exactly who fits into that system right there.
Who?
Ivan Toney.
Toney, 100%.
No. But here's the thing. Maybe you guys don't understand how I feel about Osimhen. Doesn't matter the system. 4-4-2, whatever. I think certain strikers are those strikers who are going to fight to score their goals. Like I said, he's not like Drogba. To me, he reminds me of Costa in the way that he plays, the way that he fights. Right? So it doesn't matter. 4-2-3-1, 3 at the back, he's going to be fine. So I'm going with Osimhen. I think he's the best option. But
all right,
okay, let everybody go. Let everybody give their options. Then I'll just go with how criminal this whole system is that you're playing right now. This is a criminal system.
All right, let's change it. But basically, because I got told we can't play back four because we don't have the midfield to do it. So if we're going to play back four, all right, and be this, I don't know, like this, all right, 4-2-3-1, and you're going to have him there and Felix there and Chilwell not there, but yeah, them two at the back there. And then you play off the right. I don't know who would play off the right of the three.
Wait, put the other one, the other 4-2-3-1, Jim, on the left.
Oh, this one.
That's two CDMs. Yeah.
Okay. So, but they should be there. I don't know why they're so far away. Don't ask me why. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah, put Havertz there, no? Havertz.
Would you have Havertz there in that position?
You see, you guys are forgetting that we spent 60 million on going to 100 in this summer. Who needs to play? Mudryk. So when I'm Mudryk off the left, if you're doing a 4-2-3-1 and Nkunku in the middle, right, and Sterling off the right, why are we ignoring Sterling? Like he's not better than most of these guys when he's playing.
Bro, none of us wanted Sterling, man. When we brought him, it's like Man City are tricking us.
My G, he's here. He's 350. He starts, and I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Unless he,
yeah.
A
lot of money.
I'm gonna ask all of you, including the chat as well.
Listen,
say Joao Felix stays, right, and we have Nkunku, and this is the team we have, right? Who plays in that 10 role for you, Nkunku or Felix?
Nkunku.
Nkunku.
100%.
Okay.
Man.
Biasly,
when it comes to finishing, ideally you want Nkunku in there because he's definitely a better finisher than Felix.
I
Definitely
think
a better
Nkunku, and if we had
Felix.
Osimhen up there, if you had Nkunku behind Osimhen, I'm telling you now, or Toney, that is game over in front of goals. Like, they will
Both of
score
them are
goals.
scoring
Yeah.
a crazy amount of goals. I'm seeing 27, 17 goals. 27, 17.
Yeah, hell yeah, facts. I'll choose Nkunku over Felix all day. You ain't gonna ask me twice, mate. I'm telling you now. I want someone that's gonna play in that 10 role close to the striker. That when he gets the chances in front and he's in front of goal, I know he's gonna bag him. And I know this guy Nkunku is gonna bag him. I'm not sure with Felix right now. I keep telling you this. President Jafar says Gonzalo Ramos would be the fit for our system. Big up to you, bro.
Well, too bad. He's from Benfica.
Big up to you. I mean, Don, what do you think? Felix and Nkunku? What would you go for in a 4-2-3-1 system?
Yeah, no, I think with that system there, if we've got the option of those two, I'd probably say Nkunku, only because Felix is finishing is still a bit, a bit meaty, I would say. It's so annoying because it's the fine margins. He's hit the post, he's hit the bar. It's not like he's completely getting it off target. Do you know what I mean? Because we'd be having completely different conversations right now if that was to go in. He just keeps hitting the post. But hopefully that goal he scored against Everton's given him a little bit more confidence, because he definitely needs to start putting them in the back of the net. And from the looks of things, he wants to stay here, right?
He ain't going to stay. He ain't going to stay. I don't know how you spend 80 million on a player if you're playing a 4-2-3-1 that's going to hold bench.
Jem, I think it stays because Todd Bowley loves him, and what we've learned about Todd Bowley is when he loves something, he's not gonna stop until he gets it.
£85 player on the bench.
What's going to happen with him?
Okay,
we're not going to sign him. I'm quite confident that we're going to sign Felix. I think we need a player like this anyway, regardless of Cuckoo coming in. I think he definitely brings something to the team that we don't have. We've had numerous conversations about this on Felix, but if I had to pick between the two to play that 10, I would probably say in Cuckoo until Felix fixes up with those shots, man.
Felix and
I've got PTSD from all these misses that we keep.
Okay, here's my
goal, man.
Here's my thing. When people say that we don't have that, Felix brings something that we don't have. There's a reason why we signed Mudryk, right? He's not there. He's just having a difficult time adjusting to our league, and people already felt like, well, yeah, we don't have anybody who can dribble and pick up the ball and, do flicks and 1-2s and all that. He's supposed to be that guy. So it's either we believe in him or we don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. We need to focus back on the striker now on it, because obviously Victor Osimhen's in there. But I think Ivan Toney would suit again, and this is why I want to push this a little bit. Is that I feel Ivan Toney can play in the back 3 system, and I think he can play in the back 4 system. I think he can do both. I think Victor can. I'm just a little bit worried with him in the 3 system than I am the 4. I think with the 4, he'll have more people around him, which means he could be more focused in the box and doing what he does best. It's just with the 3, you have to do a lot more in terms of for the team, linking up, holding the ball, bringing players into it, and I think Ivan Toney will do that better. Does that make sense in the 3?
Oh yeah, like his link up play is better. I would say that.
I mean, Kylie, what do you say, bro? What are you saying?
Respect to all you gents. That's Osimhen for me, bro. But realistically, he's going for 150 M. So as long as Toney doesn't get hit with that ban, Toney's probably the most realistic option. That's how I see it. But if we're talking about career mode, Daddy Bowley opening the war chest per usual, then yeah, go get Osimhen. But it wouldn't be I don't think it would be wise in the summer to go get Osimhen for 150 M's unless that's the only player we're signing. So I would definitely say Toney from a realistic standpoint. But if we're not being realistic, yeah, go get Osimhen.
And I mean, CFCOG, do you agree in terms of the system switch? Like Toney better as an option and for the system switch if we're going to continue doing that, the 4, the 3 moving forward?
Well, if Potter's going to be here, we are going to continue doing that probably. So honestly, he would be a better fit, especially the fact that, if we sold like a couple of English players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount, then if they do somehow, then we're going to need him even more,
My issue with the 10.
That is true. I forgot about that element.
Yeah, because we might even move Gallagher. Who knows, bro? And other little English players like Colwell.
Yeah,
feel bad for them, man.
We're losing some of these guys because when you sell some of these academy players, it's pure profit, right? So it knocks off a major part over those 3 years, because that's what the FFP is. It knocks off
Mm-hmm.
the cost off those players. Unfortunately, we have 600 million in the fucking hole that we have to knock off as well. So is this a bit of, even if you get pure profit of 60 million from Mount, maybe pure profit of 45 for Gallagher, pure profit of 25 or 30 for Loftus-Cheek, when you spend 150 on Osimhen and you amortize that over five years, right? That's about what? That's about 40 per year.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it's like, it's still a lot. You still have to make up for that with a lot of like sales, a lot of big sales. You have to make.
I mean, if we make Champions League, if we win the Champions League, that would help. But if we finish 10th,
you win the Champions League, that's an extra like 50-60 million. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, if we get a good sponsorship deal, right? Three is ending. So if you get something that's a little bit crazy that gives you maybe 70 million every year, that could help.
President Jafar with a donation says, "Big up to you, bro." Says, "Man's crying over Benfica like Napoli is a joke," is what he's saying there. Thank you for the donation, my bro. The thing with this,
I think Benfica, we burnt the bridge with Benfica. But Napoli, we're friends now. We brought Kolo Muani, like first time in years we've done business with them.
They're still hard to negotiate with. They always will be. They have always been in the past as well. But I'm focusing more on Felix again, because if we're going to play the free system, that eliminates one offensive player in the team, right? And like Dan said, you have Sterling, you have Nkunku, you could potentially still have Havertz, right? And you're going to have Felix, and you got Toney as well, Madueke. All right, how does he fit in this free system for me? Because I don't think his best position is there, in my opinion. Even though he's okay there, I prefer him in the 10 role. But if you're going to spend 80 million to then have a player in a team that you're going to stick with a free at the back system with, and then you're going to buy a striker, what I'm trying to get is it needed? That's what I'm trying to understand. Is it needed when you got Nkunku, Madrid, like Sterling?
Well, 1A plays the back three.
Right?
Well, Jeff, I think there are two parts to your question there. Can he work in that system? 100%. Is it going to give you like this level of quality that it's worth not playing Sterling there when we switch to a back three, or not playing Nkunku there when we switch to the back three, or Toney? No, it's not. Right? It's not worth it. But can he play there? Yes. Do I think, if we're playing a three at the back most of the time, he should be benching Mudryk? No, I don't think so.
So in theory, I think Felix, if he signs, will probably play. But it's like you got Nkunku, and then you've got, like you said, you spent 80 million on Mudryk. Why did we don't buy Mudryk if you're going to keep Felix? You know what I mean? If you want Felix, don't. But you shouldn't have bought more Mudryk. And now you want Felix, you want Mudryk, you got Nkunku coming in. Now they're saying we're going to get a striker. This is why I've got a little feeling that this whole striker thing might not happen. And I think we might see Nkunku go up there.
Oh, Jem.
You have to assume.
The fan base will.
You have to assume. You have to assume 20% of the team will always be injured. If 20% of the team is always injured at every given point, and we have 55 games, which we usually do, we're going to need these players more or less.
Yeah, also, if they commit to buying Joao Felix, they might look at it and go, well, we can't get Victor Osimhen now. It's going to cost 150 euros. We can't do it. We can't then, on top of that, get a midfielder who's going to cost us a bit to bring, which is what we're being told is one of the areas that we're definitely going to look at in the summer. Like, we have to think a bit logically. I know we've been spending a lot of money up to this point, all right, but we've not recouped any of it as well. We have got a lot of outgoings going, but every time we try and look at the striker position, we look at the midfield position, we're talking about serious dough. And on top of that, you then want to add Felix in that, which is going to cost us another 80 million on top of it. So where are we going with this?
We need to sacrifice Felix realistically.
Will they? That's what I'm saying. People don't like to hear it because they think it's not that I don't like him. I'm trying to talk from a bit of sense. Like, you want us to get a striker and midfielder, but you also want Felix. It's not going to happen.
But it can't. Listen, I think it can happen.
No, it cannot.
Right? Hold on. I think it can happen if you are, but you're basically banking on some of your like starting players or your starting 11 being fit for a lot of the freaking season, right? But it can happen where you let's say you're getting rid of, and these are bench players who played a lot in this year. Gallagher, right? You're getting rid of Gallagher, right?
Cheeks.
You've lost his Cheek. You've lost Mount. This is pure
Pulisic.
Kovacic.
How much money are you recouping for
Ziyech.
this?
Yeah, it's
Lukaku and
Go ahead.
Ziyech.
Keep,
Hold on,
no,
hold
no, no.
on.
Keep
Honestly-
naming them. Keep naming them.
Honestly,
Yeah.
from just from the English players alone, let's say Mount, Gallagher, lost his Cheek. Who else?
That's over.
They're not selling all them. I'm telling you now, they're not selling all three.
Mount, Gallagher, and lost his Cheek, right? Okay, let's just say Mount and Gallagher. Those two
Right.
get you 100 million. Pure profit.
Nah. Just
You'd be lucky. Mount's gonna get you 50. You'd be lucky to get 45 for Gallagher when
Wait,
Crystal
Wait,
Palace
how
is
much
leaving.
is Ziyech and Lukaku getting? Because they're going for sure. Ziyech and Lukaku, they'll probably
We're
be.
just breaking Lukaku's contract, from my understanding. So that just
What?
means it's a hit.
Nah, that's too expensive for us to do. But
You
I think
haven't
Lukaku
been.
goes back out on loan anyway. It's not, clubs are going to want him. It's a low risk for them to take him out on loan. He's going to go on loan. But for the sales, I'll just mention the English players because that's pure profit. That's the only way you can make it work, where you can get Felix, get forward, and get a DM and not two center mids, right? Because if you lose Kovacic and Zakaria goes back, and you know what I mean, let's say you keep Conte, you might only have the money to sign one DM, right? And then you have to blood in like a Andre Santos. So if you're banking on that DM being able to play the whole season, then it could work. You could spend that money that you could get on two players, maybe a center mid and another backup.
Yeah, but you ain't getting three. So what I'm saying is, you getting a striker and a midfielder, or are you getting Felix and one other, and then just what we do there? Because in that case, this happens, and Kunku goes up front, and these people will go, no, they're crying in the chat because of Felix. Oh, I want to use Felix. Stop crying about Felix for once. Yeah, and actually listen to what we're fucking saying.
Don't we want that headache?
That's my head in.
Jim, having those options is a healthy headache to have, right? Because who's going to say Kuku's going to be on form every single time? And from what we've seen from Kuku so far, right, the guy looks like he's a little bit injury prone. Like, and everyone that seems to be coming Chelsea recently they keep falling every 2-3 games. So we need the options. We need the options. We need quality in options as well. We need someone that can come in, right, and do the exact same job as the person that's gone out, okay? Not someone that's going to completely drop off and just mess up what we're trying to do. So I think having both Felix and Kuku as an option is a healthy headache to have. I'm not against it at all.
It's not a bad option. I'm not saying it because because it's a bad option doing it. I'm asking, are we able to do that?
I'm saying it because of FFP. Everybody acting like that shit don't exist.
Yeah, but we're gonna get rid of X amount of players, though, man. I'm not worried about that for now.
Fam, you're not worried about it until they hit us with another transfer ban, like in 17-18. Like it happens. Like,
Kelly, read off your list, right, of all the players we're gonna get rid of this summer. We're getting rid of a lot of players. We're gonna definitely.
No. We are getting a lot. We're getting a lot. My hope and outlay is we get rid of at least 9 to 10 minimum and make 200 mil. Now that's lofty expectations. I'm just hoping to pull in that value of cash revenue because I think people need to understand. Even though, we pulled a little whoopty over the FFP, we got the amortization for a lot of players. Like, the Enzo deal is so beautiful. The way Enzo is set up right now, that's a crime against humanity to FA.
It's mad. The way we've loopholed Lenzo is amazing. And the fact that he accepts it from a wages standpoint is amazing. What people are also forgetting is that we can't do 7-8 year contracts anymore. So we can't spread the costs like we have done on this 600 million we spent. And why we done this all so quick, probably to this point, was because we knew there was a loophole, and we knew that FFP were going to do what they were going to do now, which is going to limit Chelsea from doing as much as we have done. So people need to be prepared that we may not do everything again, and that's what I'm trying to get at. It might be a case that we get a midfielder, and they don't get a striker because they get the midfielder and they love Joao Felix so much that they keep him, and that means we have to play with Nkunku, Felix, Havertz, Sterling, Mudryk for a season. I'm just saying
it might be that instead of that might dictate instead of getting the Osimhen, you get Toney, right?
Yes, but for the right price, right? Well, how much are we going to get Toney for? With the Brentford, they're going to take the piss out of us. Every club does.
Wait, how many years does Toney have on his deal? How many years does he have?
Let's have a look.
I think he has like 2 years.
Because that's the thing. There's two ways we can have this conversation. The one way is where we play FIFA career mode and we say this is our ideal picks we want to put in all these places. And then there's, okay, back to reality. We spent over 600 M's in less than 2 windows. We literally are going to get hit. But, like, I'm not saying we're in danger of FFP, people. I'm saying we can't just keep spending 300 mil every window.
Kelly,
that's not,
his contract goes to 2027.
Oh, no, people, you're crazy. They're going to ask for 80 min. They're going to ask for 80 M's. They're going to ask for 80 M's.
He's got a 5-year contract, which he signed in 22. Did he sign a new contract in 2022? It says he did. I don't remember.
We're screwed.
Listen, I mostly goes for 65, but I don't think he goes for 80 million. So
he's a free agent
in
25.
I don't think we'll go that high. Maybe 70 max, I'd say.
Yeah. He's going to be a lot, man. I think we're going to end up sacrificing. All I'm trying to get to people is that I think we're going to sacrifice, and it's either going to be Felix at sacrifice to get a midfielder and a striker, or it's going to be the midfield.
The striker. Yeah.
I think we're going to get them. I actually think in terms of priorities, I think we're going to get a midfielder before a striker.
What makes you think that, Jem?
I think the striker.
Because
I've been listening to you guys talk about dreamland here.
I'll tell you why, because I think they, because of the way things are going, I think they want to keep Joao Felix. You know?
I'll tell you how things are going. Why didn't we buy a midfielder before? Why did we spend? Where was it 600 million on other players? Why didn't we buy players that we needed?
I was told it was Tuchel though, but let me be quiet.
Listen, we are buying exciting players. We are buying what's the exciting players, Jem? Midfielder or striker?
Well,
what's going to get the fans more excited?
Case, it'll be striker and Felix and no midfield again, guys. If that's the case.
I think we'll get.
Yeah, Jem, that's how I see it. What Declared said is facts. I think we're going to get Felix, a striker, and we're not going to get that CDM, and it's going to be tits up again.
Well, we might do. We might be able to get.
Jem, it's show business. We got show business.
If it's show business, that means we can't get Toney because he's got a bad reputation from a PR point of view.
Yeah, he doesn't have the name.
Person. Yeah.
We all want Toney, yeah, but that doesn't get Bowley's twitching in his pants. He needs that big player.
Osimhen, the boogeyman.
But what I disagreed when I was listening to you guys before, and I've had this conversation a lot. You guys think that we can just sell a few English players and we're going to recruit money? There's a lot of players leaving. There's a lot of players on short contracts.
Thank you.
And you have to fill those positions. You buy a Felix, Osimhen for 150 is insane. This guy has just been scoring in Serie A. Do you know what I mean? There's a chance that he can come here and maybe not do as well.
I don't think Osimhen goes for 150. I think even if they're putting that up as 150,
it's still going to be 100 million euros.
Yeah, it's going to be 100 million.
I can understand. Yeah, I can understand that price because you're paying for the potential, but still, we don't need potential.
You're paying for the right now. You're not paying for the potential when it comes to Osimhen.
Osimhen's not potential, man.
Osimhen's a
killer.
Osimhen's on the level of Costa when we signed Costa.
No, but are you not paying for Osimhen's price is based on his age as well, being that he's like 24?
It's based on the age, the amount of goals he's scoring, and the years on his contract, I believe, from my understanding.
Yeah, I'd rather two strikers.
I would be shocked if we got Felix, we got a striker, and we got a midfielder. I'm just saying it in the chat because people say if we
then
do that,
be prepared to be shocked.
Be prepared to be shocked. I've got no concerns around that. I'll be honest with you.
Well, no,
you guys are nuts.
No, I have concerns. I agree with Declared. Our squad is going to be very, very thin, right? Because you're not going to be able to replace these guys that you sell. You know what I mean? So I have concerns in that, but if they can make it work, they make it work.
Yeah, but you're also not going to sell all these players and then just buy 1 or 2 players for 100 mil. You're going to have to be a lot more clever with what you're doing in your transfer, in your targets. Or you look at some of the young prospects we bought, like Sandro in midfield, and you bring him in. Do you know what I mean?
So Jem, do you think that's the go? Because that should be a good discussion. Do we go big and then fill up the rest of the area with young and cheap players, or is it more spread out? Is the transfers not going to be as big, but it's going to be more even?
Yeah, we need to mix and match now, Declared. It's time to
He's not familiar with Bowley's game. Tell me about it.
It depends on how long we want to wait, right? If we want to challenge for the league right away, if we want to get back right there,
it's not no top 4. It's not going for.
Yeah, if we want to challenge next year, then for me, if we're only going to spend on 2 players the whole summer, I'm getting the striker and a DM, the best of the best.
right? And then
Well,
we
you're my
can
team.
because
Felix is staying though. Felix is staying. Everything that's coming out from the club is that they love him. Felix wants to stay. He's gonna get signed.
Yeah.
And we're gonna bring in.
Then listen.
Yeah, I think
we're
Felix
not
is the
getting a
easiest one.
midfielder in the strike.
Isn't there a verbal agreement as well for Felix?
Agreement, but from the looks of things,
Guys, declare.
I think Felix wants half done.
Jem, your biggest concern, right, is that if we sign Felix, you don't think we're gonna sign a midfielder and a striker. That's what I'm getting from.
I agree with Jem. Yeah.
From what you're saying, right?
I think that the priorities. I think Felix is a good player, but if we're talking about what Dan's saying, which is kicking on and moving forward quickly, then I would want us to. I'd rather us sort the midfield and the striker out. Yeah, in my opinion. Because I'll tell you why. Because we got Nkunku and we got Mudryk and we've spent the money that we have, like we have on Mudryk. I don't see I like Felix. Yeah, I think he offers a lot. I do. Right. That's not the thing. But I'm thinking in where we're going with this and what we need right now. And if we're not going to sell Havertz and Mount and all these other ones, then because we bought Mudryk, then buying Felix and buying a striker and buying a midfielder all in one summer window is going to be 80 M's, 100 M's, and then probably another 70, 80 M's for a midfielder if we go for a decent one anyway. It's going to be hard.
But in the same breath, you can argue that we're going to see the best of Felix once we actually get a striker. We clearly at the moment.
We've got Nkunku then. Don't buy Nkunku.
But
Nkunku's already bought, Jem. What you mean?
Hold on, Don. It sounds like you kind of want it all, right? Like,
yo, Don, put your volume up.
Don, it sounds like you kind of want everything, right? So you want that striker to come in that Felix is going to look better with, but Nkunku plays better with a center forward, and then we have Mudryk, who we paid 60 million for.
I'm saying.
Dan, I'm not disputing that.
So
what I'm saying is
all those guys.
Yeah,
I'm not disputing that, but like I said, form plays a big factor. Injuries play a big factor. We need options. We need quality in options.
Yeah, but Joao Felix is coming to Chelsea because he thinks he's going to play every game. He's going to want to start. But
listen, I want him to have that mentality. That's what breeds good competition. That's what makes it a world-class player.
No, wait.
Listen. From most teams, I think people just the only team they can really give him is Manchester City, right? Where it's like everybody rotates and it's just clusterfuck. Most top teams with top players who are competing for years on end have a consistent starting lineup. Yeah, you have maybe one or two players in the 15-man squad, but top players, the world-class players, right? Not the Jesus and Sterling and Foden who can all rotate because they're not world-class.
Anaka and Drogba,
yeah. The best of the best, the Benzemas, all these guys, they don't rotate. The top players don't rotate. So if Nkunku's having a great game, 6 games in a row, are you going to tell him, oh, let's rotate with Felix? No, I'm not rotating. I'm in form, and I'm playing well, and I'm the best of the best. That's what you want.
Yeah, not better than Felix in that position. In his
but Felix can play. Felix can play multiple positions, though. We don't know what plan.
Wait. Let me respond to that.
Yeah.
Can we stop putting people in their non-preferred position, please? This is the reason why Mount might be on his way out the door. We keep playing players out of position, and then when they drop clankers consistently, we go, oh, why is the players not working at Chelsea? Because I'm tired of seeing all these top-notch quality players coming in, and then their cheeks, because we're not using them in the correct profile.
I get that point, but what I'm saying is, Felix isn't just a 10. He's not just a 10. He can play multiple positions. That's definitely going to be a plus. And that is something he can look at to say, look, I'm not just going for the 10 role. I can play on the left. I can play as a second striker.
He's not great. I'll be honest with you.
He's not great on the left. I agree with that.
He's not playing on the left. Why? He's not playing on the left.
He has played on the left, but I'm not
played
sure.
on the left.
Wait, Jem, let's land the cold hard facts. Okay, these are the options.
One thing, right? Just one thing, and you thought to get Felix in this team and starting and playing every game like he is currently at the moment, we don't sign a striker.
Why?
No, you guys.
Let me make this point.
He's spitting bars.
Listen. Why don't you think we can have it all?
No,
because there is a reason why we can't have it all.
FFP, fam.
Let me explain. The amortization now, right, is only 50 mil a year.
Huh?
50 mil a year. Do you understand? 50 mil a year. We can spend another. We are gonna have. I'm telling you guys now. We're gonna have another insane, right, transfer window. If you guys don't think we are, if you think we're in the budgeting, we're gonna hit now. I'm telling you now. Remember this name. Remember this number. 1 billion.
No.
Every news reporter is every news is gonna report our team 1 billion. We are gonna hit the add everything up, right? Under Boli's reign, we're gonna hit the 1 billion mark, right? And every time we lose or anything bad happens, they're gonna bring out that we're a $1 billion team. It's gonna happen, right? Bro, this item we're only paying. They pushed for it because we're only paying right now for the transfer we got 50 mil a year, right? It's nothing. We still got a lot of money. We have no debt, right? There is a FFP rule when a new owner comes in, some leeway to fix the team. They're also backtracking all the money lost from being sanctioned.
600 million in one season. They've not even done
1 billion, Gem. 1 billion, I'm telling you now.
Is that Australian dollars?
Wait. Hold on.
No. 1 billion pounds sterling.
Let's declare all this. Let's say we declared all this money. How does your team look declared? Let's say we do this does happen. We do spend the extra 400 million that you want. Everybody signs. The midfielder signs. Felix signs. The striker signs. The goalkeeper.
Potter got to get sacked.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
How does that? How do you?
The 100 million on a new manager too.
So how do you fit in Mudryk, Felix, and a striker, Sterling? How do they all fit?
I'll tell you, and I've said it before. Dan, it's Hunger Games because you gave a great example of people like Benzema and world class players having their position. You can't be dropped. Yeah, we have none of them. We have none of those players except Kante when he's fit, right? You have none of them, and when you get a whole bunch of them in, then they actually fight to make that what you just described to make that you become that player, and that's your position, right? So there is no you're coming in and you're like Felix comes in, we pay 85 million, which I heard, or 100 million for Felix, and you're gonna have to play every game. No, there's gonna be a whole bunch of potential that we paid for and a lot of money, right? Because there's also wages as well, like. You brought up how does Havertz get dropped? But Sterling was only 45 mil, but Sterling is one of our highest paid, right? So there's money all over the pitch. It's not going to dictate who wins the position, like who has a spot in the team just for it.
Arguments about Mason Mount's wage contract. The reason he hasn't signed it is because he's not getting paid enough. Right, that is part of the reason why Mason Mount is probably going to end up leaving, because he doesn't feel that he's valued enough here, and probably doesn't feel that he's going to get enough game time.
Minutes.
Right? So I'm not saying. Look, Joao Felix. Let me read these things.
Felix wants out, yeah. Like that's the factor I take it in.
Wait, let him read this.
150 million is crazy to get Toney for 60 million and use the money saved for a midfielder, etc. Blowing 150 on Osimhen is a crazy risk. 100 million plus should be for an Mbappe, is what he's saying there. Big up to you, bro. Thanks for that. CFC NJ says Manu Kone for 30 million in midfield. Again,
I wish.
Look, if we didn't work like that, where we don't go for like a 70, 80 million pound midfielder, and we use that, which I think we probably will do. Actually, we'll probably go into market and find someone in that position that can come in at a lesser fee. Fine, but is he the main player for that fee to come in and actually play? Be the main person next to Enzo, which we've been talking about. Is Kone that guy for 30 million? I don't know.
Could I talk about the eye test? Yeah, like I don't want to go like, oh yeah, I used to play ball all the time, night and day. I thought I was gonna make it. Like I could just tell by looking and seeing how players play whether they're gonna get injured or not. Joao Felix is not an injury type of player, just the way he's playing. Yeah. But man like Osimhen, he probably will. In Nkunku's definitely. Sterling, so many of our players, 100% are going to get injured. So you just have to take certain players. I don't even know which ones. I can even name them. This player will get injured. That player will get injured. And I know Murphy will agree with half of them, from Reece James to Sterling. So when you know that they're going to get injured, 100%, and you know like Havertz isn't, and Mount, even though he's not us, he's not. Joao Felix doesn't. I know these brothers. I paid 1 million of them. I'm telling you, they don't get injured the way they ball out. So the more the merrier, because
I don't mind
there's so many injuries.
I've always backed competition. One of the things I've always said on this is that if we're going to get back to the top, we need to have players in the right positions.
Yeah, but Jem, you're certain that Felix thinks he's going to start every single game. You don't know the conversations that they've had.
That's not even the case. Listen, it's not even that he has to start every single game. It's about the structure of your squad, right? Is that if you have a player like Felix on the bench for 250K, right?
That makes sense, does it?
No. I mean, it could make sense, but you have to have a small bench. Sorry, like you can't have because you don't have an unlimited budget, right? There's a rule in 2024 where you can only spend 70% on wages of what you make in.
Daniel, it's somewhere.
Yeah, but Dan. Felix, right. So these owners now have started this new structure, right? If we don't make Champions League football, your wages are going to drop. Felix knows that his wages are going to drop, and he's still coming out and saying, "I'm happy here," etc., etc. And we're looking at we're gonna pay for him. So when we're looking at the wages and all of these things, we're going too far ahead now because we've got no idea what they're going to offer him.
No, I agree.
No, but you guys are missing the biggest factor though. Felix wants out. Someone's got to pay for Felix's high transfer fee. Right? Felix wants out. Remember that first, rather than if I'm going to be benched or not. Right? He wants out, and he's got a great chance of Chelsea paying that agreed amount, which I heard 85, around 100. We know it's going to be something like that. Yeah. No one's going to pay that. So Felix's biggest objective is to get out, and he's already starting all the time. So he knows I'm going to get game time here. I'm going to be a big player. These guys are all my age. Right, so Chelsea is a great avenue for him. He's out. The problems that you guys brought out, I think, are secondary. Right, he wants out. He doesn't want to be Atletico. So who's going to pay 100 or close to 100 mil or 80
United in the Qatar?
That's what I mean. So if United are coming, all those same things he's not thinking about. He wants out, and I think there's very few clubs that are going to pay that fee. And I think with the dumb enough to pay for it.
Bro, you go. Wait a sec. You go into the January window buying wingers. Why did you buy Mudryk and Madueke?
I don't know. That's what I said. That's what I brought up.
Yeah, but then you're all saying get Felix, get striker, get like. I get the competition element, but it's got to be an understanding of where we're going with this squad. It's got to be like a balance to it. We know that the midfield needs to be addressed more than anything at the moment. The striker to a degree, fine. But like all these wingers and all these 10s and all these like what we doing?
Even if it wasn't grandfather, that's a lot for a manager to have to integrate, man. To have to be, you're telling two sides. That's a 1A and a 1B that are just as quality as the next. Like that's a 1A, 1B side. Like
the question, the question has to be asked.
Okay, so now I see what Jem's doing. Okay, Jem, I see you, bro. So what you want basically, right, is for us to get rid of Felix. So when Cuckoo's not fit, Havertz can play the 10. Now it's making sense.
No.
The agenda, right?
Havertz is staying. Let's just say Havertz stays as well. That's another player in that position.
Wait, Jem, you weren't genuinely considering Havertz staying? You were assuming Havertz was going when you were saying all this?
I think if he carries on the way he is till the end of the season, which is a big if, let's just say, why are they going to sell him? He's still got 2-3 years of contract. They're going to go.
Yeah.
So
but
let's
bring up your point.
Is if Real Madrid come in and spend 80, 90, 100 odd million like they said they supposedly are looking to do with Havertz, fine, go. We get that money, we use it, it's value. Sell him for value. Makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But having Havertz, having Nkunku, buying 85 million Felix, getting fucking Noni and Mudryk, right, on top of all of that as well. Like, and then you still got Pulisic, you still got Zia, all right there, some of them are going. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, where are we going with this? And then, like,
that's exactly right, Jim. That's what I'm saying. That we don't have we're not buying for a system. It looks like that's why I said describe like Hunger Games. That's why I say we're buying a whole bunch of players and who survive. Because why did we buy wingers and now we're going to play free? Like we're not buying. It's like we're just buying a whole bunch of good potential and see what happens with it. And there's another factor too. What if we do get another manager, and he's going to want some of his players, right? Add that to every calculation that you guys have brought up as well. The way he wants to play or whatnot, and like there is no so why buy?
I've never said that.
Even the striker that you guys are talking about, right? How we're going to play and what type of striker?
It does frustrate me, but again, it only frustrates me because I get told that he does different to Havertz and Pulisic and Ziyech and scores and creates all this. So that's what
they're all the same player, except some of them have flair, some of them don't.
What are you saying, brother? How are we doing, man?
Is everyone complaining how much money we're spending?
We're spending too much money.
No.
Oh, no.
Everyone's trying to do accounting here, Andrew. That's what I'm complaining about. We're going balls deep here.
Why is it?
Balls deep.
Is it Is it coming out of anyone's winter budget this summer transfer window? I just want to know because I want to know just in case. Listen,
No, but I think we have to talk a bit logically about it.
okay, that's fine. Listen.
Yeah.
Might have to buy extra jerseys with names on it.
They'll spend whatever they spend. I'm sort of in agreement with you, Jem. I don't want to really buy Felix.
Yeah.
I think we're bringing in Kuka in, who on paper looks like a superior player, and I don't want Felix. Felix, if he hadn't scored on Saturday, and even if he has, because he's got no assists as well, he's in the same run of form as we complain about Mount and Havertz for.
Exactly. That's what
2 goals in 10
Preach.
games. 2 goals in 10 games.
That's only if you look at the stats, not his performances.
I look at both
as well, bro.
I think everyone. You know what I heard on Saturday, apart from his goal. Oh, that lovely little flick he did that ended up going nowhere. That's what I'm talking about.
We need output, people.
Not much
We
happening
need
in our
people
game,
to
Andrew.
put
That's
shit
why.
in the back of the
It's
net.
like-
How long
No,
has
you
it
know
been
what?
at Chelsea
Hold on.
Football Club?
No, you know what?
Genuinely.
Let Server finish. Let him finish. I want to know what he's saying. Go on.
Yeah, sorry,
No, it's like when someone goes, "Oh, did you see that guy do a nutmeg? Well, what happened after the nutmeg?" It doesn't matter. I think. Listen, is he restrained with who he plays with? Yeah, probably. But if we're talking about spending upwards of 80 million or above for him, I don't see the point, especially if you want a striker.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
We've got others that can play there, and I don't think he's going to be worth it, because when we spend 85 million, we're going to be 6 months later going, man, he's got 8 goals in 25 games or something like that, and 2 assists, and everyone's going to be complaining about it. I just think he's aesthetically pleasing, and he doesn't have a lot of output. And we were told this. Remember, we all thought, do you know what? It's Simeone football, stuff like that. Even at Portugal, he showed a little bit of instances here and there. Everyone was jizzing their pants at the Fulham game when he just went round one person and set up Havertz to fluff his lines and stuff like that. We're already bringing in Kuku in, who looks superior
and he's a
to
goal
him
scorer
in every aspect of his game. And I just think I don't want to waste 85 million on him or above. I'd rather use that money to go elsewhere when you
Andrew,
think you
let's say
can
Kuka gets
buy.
injured.
It's exactly what I'm saying to you guys, and have been saying before we even signed the guy.
There's also a massive factor too that I've mentioned too that this is. Wait, hold on. I just one quick point. This is the best of Felix. Like before he came in, I said you're going to see the best of Felix because he's playing for a transfer. This guy is actually playing for a reason and more individual. That's why you see the little flicks and stuff, because he's playing for himself and he's playing for a transfer. He wants out. So this is the best you're going to see of him, right? Once he gets what he wants and the transfer and stuff.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
What do you mean? Don, it's like playing for a contract. It's the same thing. It's even more because he has a massive transfer fee.
There's truth in that, though. There's truth in that.
How can he be playing for a contract when he hasn't been close to 8 out of 10 in every
I said it's worse than that. I said, you know how players play some of their best football when they're near a contract, re-signing near a contract, right? It's even worse for him because he has a massive transfer fee that he's trying to get out of a club. So he needs someone to pay that big fee, right? And he should be playing his best football. Like this is the best you're going to see of him.
Don, it's not hard to comprehend from that aspect.
We need to look at what we need to do is make sure that we continue to notice the profile of players we need to get this system better moving forward. Right? We need to address the areas that we need to improve, and a good example of that was Enzo Fernandez. We brought him in. He cost us a lot of money to do it, but we brought him in and we noticed that it was an area that we needed and we needed to improve it, and we got it right. It's not always about the little flicks like winter surfaces and running on, which I think I do think he adds something that we don't have with doing that. Yeah, but it's also about the other parts, and the other parts for me are more important. And when I say the other parts, I am talking about the output, because you can't just keep running around taking things up and then getting most of our chances in games, which he has done, and hitting the post or skying it, or and in each and every game doing the same thing. Yes, he scored the last game round, but let me tell you something, because I was at that game and so was you, Don. His decision making in that first half was shocking. Yeah, so there's little bits to the game that he still needs to improve, and that is fine. But 85 million is a lot of money to pay for a player that needs to improve, because we moan about Havertz and Ziyech about it and Pulisic, yeah, but he has the same.
Hey, Jem, what about Timo Werner? What about Timo Werner? Do we remember that one? Do we remember Timo Werner?
No, come on, no. Let's not do that.
Turbo Tim.
What more goal contributions than Felix?
Yeah, with Felix, I'll be more concerned if he came into a team like Arsenal, for example, who have a system that's already set up and ready to go, right? Our system is far from built at the moment, and I've seen enough from him right now to say, right,
Wow, what system?
This is someone that I want. Exactly. What system? We have no system at the moment.
I'm gonna give you a point, right? If a manager comes in, I reckon another manager can get more out of Felix.
Wait, let me finish what I'm saying, though.
The guy's playing himself right now. He's playing a freedom role.
For me, right? What I've seen from Joao Felix, right, is a player who can affect the game without getting a goal and an assist. I know you guys are banging on about output in the game, but if you look at his overall play, he is someone that we can definitely utilize in a system that we're trying to build.
Yes,
and for me, I'm very, very excited to see him with a striker, with an actual striker in this
you want
team.
him to play close.
Because right now we're not fully built. We're not fully built right now.
That's what you're not getting when you say that. I want to see him with a striker, but then you're playing with a striker, which means he's going to be closer in the box, which means he's going to get more of the chances again. So then,
but what did you ask me earlier? You asked me who would I rather play in that 10. I said in Nkunku. For the exact same reason that you've just said there. When it comes to actually finishing the chances and being more clinical, I would say Nkunku is that person. But Felix is still a great option to have in the squad. Yes, and I'm not saying he's to be a squad player because again, injuries, you've got form. That might up his levels. Felix might think, shit, you know what? I need to start doing some extra training sessions now after the game. Not even after the game, after training. I need to start shooting more because Nkunku, every time he shoots, is going in. I need to stop. And you're gonna get a better.
Now he's gonna do it once he signs for Chelsea, right?
A lot of the Felix.
That's how I look at it. I look at
So
I'll tell you what.
After he gets what he wants.
A lot
After
of the
he gets, that's a lot of charity
like
right there. A lot of charity.
A lot of the Felix lovers like Felix for what he does, which is what I deem as the sexiness with the ball. When in terms of he picks the ball, he's as aesthetically pleasing because he gets the ball, he dribbles forward with it. You know, he tracks players, he creates spaces for other. Yes. He can do that. I've seen that. And something that we actually don't do enough is that. But we do have a Mudryk that should be doing that, who's on the bench and we spent 80 million. He has the ability to do what Felix is doing with that, you know, but we're just not seeing enough of it as of yet. But like my issue with Felix, like I keep saying, is the price tag. It's not that I don't like the player. I know Josh is in here. Crying about it all blimmin' day. But at the end of the day, Josh, I have been consistent with what I've said from Felix from day one when I was sitting here with Dan and we were talking about him. I said I am not sure whether he is going to fulfill the boots that a lot of you guys were saying, which is that he will create and score more. Yes, he affects the team and we look better, okay, but he needs to do more with his own outputs and he is still young at 23. But you're going to spend.
He was being compared to Eden Hazard. I want to remind everybody. He was being compared to Eden Hazard. No. I need people to understand. We've been starved so much. We've been starved so much at this football club that people are looking at Joao Felix do little flicks and beating a man and direct footballing technical ability, and we're taking it to levels that it doesn't need to be taken. Like at the end of the day, he is probably the most technically creative player we have. But all I'm saying is this, and to what Jem has said is facts. If you're going to get Felix in this team, I'm not worried about whose money that's not my own being spent. I'm worried about FFP coming and slapping us with a ban. That's what I'm worried about. So all I'm saying is this. If they can go out, hold on. If they can go out, they can get Toney, they can get Kone, they can get Caicedo, and they can get Felix. Go ahead.
Why not?
Not my money. No, Jem. This is what I'm saying. From a financial aspect, if they can do that, go ahead. Then let Potter break his neck over it. He'll get sacked because there's no way he's going to manage that situation. Bring in a proper top-class manager and let's see what happens. If the top-class manager fails afterwards, then we know where to look. I'm not pressed.
Yeah, but Kenny, there's a difference though. I'm not overrating Felix because I've looked at his deficiencies and I've criticized him a lot. And even after that first game against Fulham, we were on this stream and I said, look, finishing wise, this guy is not clinical. But from what I've seen from him overall, There's no offers in Cali too, I guess.
There you go, I'm not
Cali. I didn't get it.
Nah, it's ironic to me because people are really getting all beefed up about the money. I just said it. Spend 500 M's in summer. I don't care.
Don't let that throw you off, Kelly. Look, again, I'm not overrating Felix, but I've seen a lot of qualities that he has that we can definitely use, and I'm excited to see that of a striker. That's literally it.
Yeah,
and I
this
don't
doesn't
think
make sense
right
to
now
me as well.
I've seen enough to not get rid of him. That's it. I've seen enough to not.
Let me ask you this, right? How can he affect? Right, I get the chemistry because he has a good chemistry with Havertz, right? But how does
He's
he
helped your
affect
boy
the game?
Havertz score.
Wait a second.
The way he has been.
How does he affect the game when Kai Havertz creates more than him per 90? And he's played in a 10 and he's played on the left. How is he more effective? Kai Havertz is creating more than him per 90. Because that is what we're looking at right here. Is the outputs.
I think that's
and
when we look at it
for him, by the way, as well, because in front of goal. Because yes, he starts them and plays through Havertz, who then plays him through sometimes, and he's in front of goal because we've seen it. He doesn't finish him. So who is the more effective right now? The one that gets the ball and knocks the ball over the top and creates more chances in front of goal, or the one that gets the ball?
But Jem, how many big chances has Havertz missed? How many big chances has Havertz missed in that time as well?
Fine, that's true.
Of
But
course.
what I'm saying is they're both playing in the same role, right? Which is deeper, behind. One on the left, one on the right. Both give something different, which I like. But when you're talking about outputs, Havertz is giving you more at the moment. And that's the truth. You know,
and Felix should be giving us more. Felix should be giving us more. But it's fine margins. It's not something too concerning. He's hitting the post. He's not skying it, to complete all the way down there. Like, he's hitting the post. These are fine margin checks. So again, he's gonna have to improve his finishing. He's gonna have to improve his finishing.
That's what Willie used to do, man. Big up Willie.
Hey, do you guys think that the club has counted Nkuku as a striker, and they think that's done?
That's what the debate is declared. Did we bring in Nkuku to be his proper role as a 10 or a striker or a false 9?
No one's playing proper role. We had,
we're still losing games without Mason.
We had Modric playing as a winger.
Hold on. Just read that out, please.
No, I just said. He said take Joao Felix out of the team and Chelsea are worse. Take Havertz out and I won't notice a difference. You said the same thing about Mason Mount. And Mason Mount's not been in the team for how long? We're still playing. So there you go.
Woo!
That's what I'm going to say. Same thing.
Yee!
Enough of the agendas. Listen, do most people here think Potter's getting fired at some point?
Yes.
Okay, listen. If we're assuming Potter's getting fired, this is a completely different conversation. I keep saying this.
Not this season.
But do you think
I assume after next season he will be sacked.
There'll be no point in sacking him now.
No.
There is.
I just told you. I believe
the Champions League.
There's no point in sacking him right now. What are we actually doing
No,
now?
declare they're not going to sack him now. You know that they're going to sack him.
I know
next
they're
season
not,
if
but
they-
Don said there's no point. But there is a point because if you've got a different manager, we can actually have a decent run and surprise a lot of teams, just like we did with the other Champions League.
Who comes
We actually
in
have
right
a
now,
chance.
We're literally towards the end of the season. We're like,
Bro, we got a
the last
manager
two
that
games,
goes to the
who
gift
comes in
shop
right
because he's never been to Champions League before, right? And he that's where he's coming out with the bags. He has no idea what's going to happen in that type of knockout
now.
competition.
The point that I'm making is that the perfect.
He's so agenda driven. I love it.
The point that I'm making is that Potter should have gone after Southampton. It should have gone, and they kept him on, right? So there's no point in sacking him now. You're going to sack him.
I'm
Sack
saying
him
right
in
now,
the
I'm saying at some point.
If there was no Champions League done, yes, I agree. And I don't think it's going to happen
Do you
too.
think he's going to get fired at some point next season, right?
Yeah, next season, yeah, you will be sacked. Yeah, if he carries on like this, he will definitely be sacked.
I think end of the season it's going to happen.
Wait. I want to know what your point was then. So most of us we all assume he's getting sacked by next season.
For
If we're
squad,
being honest.
like squad
Yeah, if he carries
building,
on.
right? So like squad building, right? We always, because people are talking about all these players fitting in because of the way Potter plays, where he rotates and all this shit and different systems and all that. What if the next manager doesn't do any of that?
And that was my other point too.
When the next manager comes in and says, and that manager has the right? So let's say we get a Zidane to come in, and he comes in and says, "I'm playing. This is what I'm doing, a 4-2-3-1."
Zidane ain't using all them wingers. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah, and listen, then this is who I'm playing game after game. Then you're on the bench looking like looking like Bale, and then it's spooky. But it's more spooky for us because then we have you on an 8-year contract, and we can't sell you for the same price that we freaking bought you for. So it's horrible for us.
Well, but Dan, that's why we're not going to get a manager that's set like in a certain way. It's almost like these players have been picked for some other role or system, or just been random, because it's obviously not Potter's system.
No,
or if he had one, or the way he wanted to play.
We're trying to rebuild the spine.
I'm sure that's going to be taken into account, and it's not just a rigid. We're not getting a Sarri and he's like, this is how we're going to play, and then have all these players that don't fit. I think that's all going to be taken into consideration. I want to get a pro manager that can look at a team like this and get the best out of a lot of players. Like I need you for this role, and get something going.
So
get something going, a play style, get a starting 11, and then we go from there. Potter had the whole year and he couldn't even do that. And you guys think that, like, some people were saying before the Southampton game that I'll give him the preseason and like that's going to happen. This is way better than the preseason. If the guy can't come in, right? If any manager can't come in and start to establish a way he wants to play, or he thinks he can play with this team, and then start finding a starting 11, we've got no chance. There's another year wasted.
He does
Declared.
What manager do you think would be perfect for him once he gets fired next year?
Pochettino.
No.
People don't like the name.
No.
I knew you were going to get that.
I'm out. Now listen.
Unai Emery. Now look, if Pochettino didn't have Tottenham ties, people wouldn't be like, look, these managers, right, that I'm describing. If you go look into their past, they have a history and they've done great.
Manager you mentioned. Who else?
I said Emery.
Okay, hold on. Let me save Declared. I know you're not being serious.
No.
Dan, I haven't spoken to you about what you think of Poch. What do you think of Poch?
Oh, guys, I haven't got long yet, so just be quick. I've got to go soon.
Yeah.
There's
a lot more managers, but Potter is that bad. I can go through a massive I
he
can't
just
think
wants
of
to
a lot of them. But
Potter. That's what I'm saying. Declared. I understand.
No,
I get it.
These managers that I described, like Poch, for example, has, because we bought a whole bunch of potentials. We need someone to fulfill that potential, right? We need a play style that comes with that too. He's probably going to fall short, right? If you're going to get a manager like that's ready to win trophies, like how we had Mourinho, Conte, and stuff like that, they're not good for this team. We need someone that's going to actually get the best out of the massive money potential players that we paid for, right? First, and then also establish a play style with that, whatever they decide to go with, and then build off that. If these players start to get into peak age and we're not winning anything, right? That's when you sack a coach and you get a coach that's really a trophy-winning coach. That that all he wants is experienced players. That's what you give him. But right now, average age is like 24 or something, and we need a manager that's going to get the best out of these players.
When it comes to different managers, that's going to have to be a whole stream in itself.
No, let's save the manager choice for like. No,
do you know before he came to Chelsea? If you look at the record, there's no real difference between Poch and Tuchel whatsoever. In fact, Poch is actually more impressive because he got Spurs to a Champions League final.
No, Tuchel's won
uncomfortable conversation.
He's won in the French league.
No, he's talking about in the league, because in the league, Poch got second.
They both won in the French league. They both won cups. He's won one more German cup, but he got a multi-talented PSG team in a one-off game special into a Champions League final. Poch is more impressive to me, given Spurs' history, that he got that Spurs to a Champions League final.
I agree with that.
More impressive.
I agree with that.
But you think my thing is, you think Poch can win?
Hang on.
That's the question.
My question.
Yeah, but Annie got him into
what managers have won at Spurs?
Let him finish.
Let's be honest. Mourinho didn't win at Spurs, and Conte hasn't won at Spurs, so I think it's a Spurs issue. Second of all, if he wasn't a Spurs manager, people wouldn't be going above board saying they don't like him.
But can I also say with Poch,
exactly.
Can I also say with Poch that even when he coached that PSG team, he coached them to their first loss of not winning a title in that French league to Lille. By the way,
Preach.
Who was this?
Yeah, but I don't hold that against him, because I always say that as well.
When we're talking about Chelsea,
how can you not hold that against him?
I didn't see that as a good fit. I didn't see that as a good fit for him.
When we're talking about Chelsea being successful domestically, he could probably say, and I haven't checked that winter surf, I'd have to see that, but you might be right. And it says Tuchel won domestically in the league. All right, it was the French league. Poch didn't. But then we're talking about Chelsea going on and winning domestically in the Premier League. So By the way, who?
Yeah, but Jem,
Tottenham was in a title race as well, yeah?
Wait,
Tottenham have fallen short.
Hang on.
Wait, Jem. I get that point of view, but he's never been at a winning club. He's never been at a winning club. Even PSG aren't a winning club. PSG are not a winning club.
PSG is hard to manage. It goes to show
They're
every
not.
manager's been there.
Look what happened to Tuchel. Tuchel got to the final with them. Lost.
Oh, you guys are dead serious about Poch. I didn't see this. I actually did not see this.
We've got to do a different stream for that one. We've got to do a whole different stream for that one.
Listen, it's not about being dead set about Poch, but when you bring up his name, it's just not to dismiss him so easily. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Okay. All the agendas aside, I'm not just straight dismissing Poch. What I'm saying is the end goal is to win domestically in the Prem. No? This is what we all agree on, yeah?
What winning club has he been at? What winning club has he been at?
Okay.
No, Don. I don't have an issue with you suggesting Poch over Potter. Hell, I'll take Poch over Potter. I don't think that's the argument here. But the argument is, will Poch win at Chelsea? And I get it. No one has seen. We have not seen him at a winning club.
So do we have to get Pep or Klopp? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
They're the two guys that we're winning.
No. Declared. I'm saying if we're going to sack him now, if we're going to sack him now, yes, I need a world-class elite manager. If you're going to sack Potter in the off-season properly, yes, you can offer me names like Poch. You can offer me
Osimhen, stuff like that.
No, he's getting sacked at the off-season. That's what I think. We give him a lot of time to fix it.
Who rates Unai Emery here?
Me.
I think it's
Okay, what I'm saying is this. He also lost the French league in 16-17.
But there's brackets.
The guy has a great history of building teams and actually overachieving. That's a big factor.
What I'm saying is this. I totally understand what you're saying about winning by getting a winning manager, right? That all depends if what you've got set up is a winning now team. Yeah? I don't believe half this squad is set up to be a winning now team. I just don't. They don't have the mentality.
But then what's the point of getting Victor Osimhen, going and buying a midfielder?
Right, no. But listen, I caveat that with the transfer activity. Osimhen's playing good right now, right? Only in the last season or so, he's really burst onto the scene. And do remember, Napoli paid over 80 million euros for him, right? They were getting potential as well when they signed him. All right. What I would say is this. There are not a lot of winning now managers around anyway.
No, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? So we are not sport.
And that's the reason why when I've looked at the options, Jeb, and we spoke about this before. When it comes to Poch, Enrique, Zidane, I look at Poch and what we've got right now. I think he fits that best. Same way I think what we've got right now. Toney.
Would you take Poch over Zidane and Enrique?
Yes.
I can't
I'll take Poch over Zidane.
Yeah, I would.
Yes. I would.
I can't.
Kelly, you'll be surprised.
Because no. What you're saying is logical. Like, I'm not debating the logic. I'm not debating the logic of building this team. But what you're talking about is I can hear over Enrique, but Zidane? That's just where I draw the line. But other than that,
all Zidane has shown his presence. He had massive respect at Real Madrid, and good players played for him, right? And he was in-game, and his in-game management was
in-game management during the games.
Guys, I do need to finish off because I finished 20 minutes ago. It's been a good show. I'm loving the shows that we're having out of football.
Smash the likes, people.
Listen, I have no problem with you guys wanting the Argentinian Brendan Rodgers. That's fine. You know, if that's what you guys want, you want that sexy football, and he can get a team ready and we can watch.
As long as you don't say Brendan Rodgers.
You know, that's fine. I know someone that definitely loves Brendan Rodgers. You know, who's in the chat as well. Big up to him.
Big up, Kazim. Big up.
Is Kazim here?
Guys, smash the likes. We'll be back again. We didn't again get to talk about Graham Potter, which was meant to be the second part of this topic, but we got so.
We've got 2 weeks. Yeah,
I thought we did. He's
every time you say Graham
What's more to say about Potter?
Wild. we all talk civilized.
Jeb, when are you gonna go live again?
We'll talk about Graham Potter and managers on the next show. So we've done midfield, we've done the forwards today, and then now we're going to talk a little bit about managers as well, right? And continue with the Graham Potter talk. I'm not too sure, Don. I'm gonna need to think about it. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that. To be honest, I can't be bothered.
Why?
When's the England game? Is it on Thursday?
Oh, I thought you said you don't want to watch this. You can't be bothered. I was like, why?
No. Wait, no. England's today. Sorry, England's today.
Are they today? Who are they playing? Italy.
Italy. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. All
right,
guys.
Good luck.
England's today. Yeah. Why did I think today was Wednesday? Yeah.
Smash the like. Go over to Lewis's channel. He's live at the moment, probably talking about getting rid of Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. So go over there and show some support over there. And we'll be back again very, very soon, guys, for another a good show. I mean, very good show. I've enjoyed it. Dan's been in on, everyone, Callie, Andrew, Declare, Josh in the chat getting upset with Felix. We love it, mate. We love it over
Yeah, Josh has been in the chat. Big up to Josh, man.
See you later.